Hey guys, Kassad here. You're about to watch Thorin talk and talk and talk. But it's kind of good, I swear.
Right, this is another episode of Strat Book. Me and LEGIJA are back again. And we've got Kassad here, who is the coach of Extremium, which is not the name of a new cryptocurrency that he has launched and will be taking to the moon. It's actually basically 100 Thieves with Ben Tet instead of JKS, which is like some sort of parallel fucking dimension, like Asia Minor swap or something like that. And that's one thing I want to ask, actually. You know, no one else has made that connection, Kassad. Because everyone else is like, but why would Ben Tet go to that team? It's like, mate, he knows all those guys. He's fucking played against them like a million times, hasn't he? Like, I'm sure in theory to him that makes sense. Like, what? Give us some thoughts on that. Like, what? How did Ben Tet all of a sudden end up in this team instead of JKS, basically?
I mean, we always wanted him to be fair. Like even back in 2000.
Yeah, there used to be rumors, right? You were thinking about it.
Well,
yeah.
it was super close to get him. Like in 2017, I think it was April or May, and even in 2018, just before we got JKM, we were supposed to get Bentet, right? And then the org said no to buyout. Renegades said no to buyout, and then we had to find like a fast substitute because we had to travel to Kiev and Katowice for that year. Then we know what to do, and then JKM was like, "Yeah, I'm there," you know, and we got him. But like I said, 3 years ago we wanted to get Bentet, and it was like never the right moment. And we couldn't make a deal with Renegades and Tyloo. It was like, you know, always crazy. But he was always supposed to be a part of the lineup. He never got the chance, but now he did when JKS is gone.
Because another thing I want to ask about as well is, I know this is weird because actually a lot of fans, I don't blame them. Like, if you watch the game just for the teams, you don't actually pay that much attention to what position do they play, like, you know, what role do they seem to play. You're just trying to guess based on who has the most frags or whatever. But actually, they even play some of the same spots on CT side. Like, they're not. It's not a terrible like match for what JKS used to be like to some degree.
Yeah, I think he matches some of the spots, but right now at this moment, we are switching him quite a bit to find the best spots for him. Because like he's a good on CT side, he's really good when he's like on a anchor role, you know, alone on the side. We had to swap him from for example on Vertigo on A to B just a few days ago, and on T side he's gonna take the B role as well, like Justin did on the T side on Vertigo, and CT side now we are moving some spots, but he is very good on that anchor role. The only kind of not problem, an issue, maybe something that's slowing him down these days is something that we discussed actually today that he needs to fix in the next month and a half is the comms. You know, in Tyloo, and I don't know about Genji, but in Tyloo, all this communication between them is so crazy. You remember they had like 4 different languages being like communicated at the same time, and he's used to like chaotic communication, right? And he has like a tendency to repeat the same thing like 5 different times in a different level, and it kind of confuses people around, you know? You know how Tyloo used to yell a lot when they're communicating like some of the Chinese, Indonesian, English. When the Peacemaker was there, it was like Brazilian. It's like different languages, and everybody was yelling the different things. But, you know, he needs to work on that the most. But motherfucker is sharp, you know? Sure. He's unbelievably sharp. Like, he understands the game on a very decent level, you know, above average. You know, he can tell you about, he can like dissect the round easily, and it all makes sense. Like he's not like a limited player in that sense. But the biggest problem that he has right now is the communication, and we're just fitting him into the right spots the last 2 months. He's been a rough at the beginning, you know, because we didn't know what to expect. I think he was a little bit timid in a way to say like a couple of things, you know, to kind of not get himself into the spotlight. He just wanted to do his job, but we are now getting him a little bit more to just play a little bit more looser and just instinctive in a way, and just to get the best out of him.
Yeah, I actually hadn't thought of that. Like, I always joke with Janko that when he did coaching, it's like, you know, in like Doom and Quake, he like did it on Nightmare mode because he went to like MIBR when they were like semi-washed, and then he went to fucking FaZe Clan when it's like you can only win or you're just like a loser, basically. That's the way every fan... Actually, I take it back. Peacemaker trying to be the coach of a team where they're speaking like 3 different languages, and none of them are his, by the way. That might actually be the Nightmare mode. Like, I don't even know how you could coach a team like that. It seems impossible.
Yeah, it's just crazy, right? 4 different languages at the same time, and you know that there are the other Chinese guys, like Captain Mo or whoever play there, like they don't speak a lot of English.
No,
right?
barely anything.
And you try to, like, let's say Bentet was the IGL, right? Who didn't speak a lot of English himself at the moment, at that time, right? And then you have Peacemaker communicating on English that he needs to say it on English as well, which he doesn't understand, to the Chinese guys who don't understand English at all, and try to do all of that in 30 seconds or 1 minute and execute it in the game. Imagine how frustrated that must have been, right? And they even had like the decent results in the...
Yeah, not bad. Way better than they should have been, put out with.
Yeah. But right now, Bentet, definitely, he's very sharp. He's like he's like creating a lot of opportunities for us. And just the comms part that we need to like kind of improve a little bit with him, and he's going to be really good.
But I think it's a good timing actually for you guys when you picked him up, because he had experience playing already in an English-speaking team.
Yes.
Like with Genji, he had this experience. I think now is the time for him to show what he can do, because individually speaking, there's no doubt this kid is fucking insane.
Yeah, he's not a kid anymore. 25.
Okay.
By the way, LEGIJA is one of those people who tries to be like the fucking gang. He calls everyone. He's like Dana White. He calls like 30-year-old men a kid. Like this kid's going to be a champion with it. Like, mate, he's a man. He does. He just does it. He just needs to be cool, doesn't he?
The thing is, like, the way we got him, basically Genji forfeited him. Kind of. They didn't want any buyout for him. We got him for free. We were thinking about...
Sounds like a Flashpoint org, yeah. Great businessman as usual.
Yeah, it's like it was a nice thing from them. You know? Thank you. But like we were talking to Jax as well at that time. Sorry, and Jax was like he was already benched in G2. Now he's back, and we were talking to him to get to kind of swap the roles a little bit. Maybe take him like as an entry. Maybe Jake him like goes one step like back. He's got to be the second guy. Maybe just swap up the roles. Liazz would get the Justin's role, and then we would try to fit that in. But then we got the information from the Bentet's agent that he's free, and then we had a discussion with him. The talk, whatever, and then he liked what we offered him, and then we got him.
Nice.
One thing I want to ask about, and obviously I'll tread very carefully because obviously, like, basically the core of 100 Thieves / Renegades is the current team you coach. So I'm not going to like hard flame, which, let's be fair, I probably would if it was a different year and a different team. Here's what I want to ask was this: one of the reasons why it made sense to me why the team could be really good, but you usually wouldn't win the championship, or right now, as you've just gotten the team back together, it's not having the best results, like things are still coming together, is because one of the reasons I actually used to give you a lot of credit is when I looked at the old Renegades / 100 Thieves team, I always thought, like, here's a team that actually has, like, just enough skill, is the way I say it. Like, they don't have, like, not like star aimers all over. They've got, like, just enough skill in the right places, and then the rest is the team structure. Like, people know what their role is. They know, like, some tactics. They've studied the opponent, etc. So, like, would you agree in terms of how the structure of the team is?
Right now, I think, like, we are still working things out a lot. We had a lot of gaps when we started. When in January was it?
Yeah. And
like late January or something. And then, with Justin being gone, there's a gap in numbers, obviously, right? And he was supposed to guy who was delivering numbers constantly, right? For us, like structure, no structure, strats or no strats, he's going to deliver numbers for you, right? And then once he's gone, there's a little bit of a gap, right? That we needed to kind of fill with Bentet as well. So right now, I think we are doing well in practice, doing well like in terms of improving a little bit. But what's kind of, even we had the conversation today about it, like the comps are really fucking us up a lot. That's the thing that's kind of making us play bad in a way. We have like every part that we need. We have people almost on every map on the right role. Everything is like how it should be, but the communication is really, if you say it like on a scale of 1 to 10, right now it's 3.5. The situations where like in and out of the game as well, it's like situations where we lose 1v2, 1v3 because somebody didn't communicate anything, or people, they don't swing together because the first guy is not saying that he's gonna run up and doesn't wait for the second guy. It's all these small mistakes right now in an online era where everybody's sharp, when everybody's swinging, when everybody's fucking doing all the shit that all the teams are doing. Those mistakes are getting punished a lot. And that's why you have like all these crazy results. It's not that the problem that only we have. It's like some of the other teams are experiencing the same issues. But right now, it's all about the comms for us. We have and it's also like when you have bad comms and you result in like losing important rounds, then the the communication is like even lower. The confidence is getting like a little bit lower as well, and just one thing at a time leads you in like a shitty half, and then you end up losing a match and you don't even know what happened.
Obviously, like, common friend of the show and everyone on it right now, Janko, right, actually had a great line. I remember in my Reflections interview when it was actually when he was addressing like when NiKo was the IGL of FaZe, where he basically said what fans don't understand is this: it's not that like some of the IGLs that don't win and aren't like the champions or whatever, like that they're bad, like they don't know the game, they don't know what their call is. It's that the problem is there's a massive difference between making the call at the right time and like 2 seconds later. Like the same call that was the right call 2 seconds earlier, like suddenly that it doesn't work, or the execution is thrown off, or the person doesn't get the information in time. Like it's not, we're not talking about like massive things. It's small detail, right?
It's definitely small details. You know, it's just like if you are late to the execution, you delayed your execution by 4 seconds. The extra guy comes to that site and you're fucked. You know.
That's also the thing. Your players individually have to be also fucking smart enough to understand. Okay, when is the timing to go? Because you say it 2 seconds. My in-game leader, as an in-game leader, you cannot know every time what is happening. Sometimes your players themselves have to find the window and make the call themselves, and you just have to trust.
Exactly. There's like a, for example, train situation, right? You take the brown holes, B holes, right? You take leather of them, and then there is a right call for you to B pop on train, right? Because you know the rotation is like all the way in connector, or like there's only one guy on B or whatever. You have like the space, and then your guy who is Ivy is delayed 6 seconds because he was walking too much, and then he didn't understand the timing, and then your execution is delayed by 6 to 10 seconds, right? And then the extra guy comes back to B, and you try to pop or execute, you get the molly back, nade back, and then you're fucked, you know. And then you understand like what the hell happened. Maybe the call was like good, like Danka said 10 seconds ago, but right now it turned to shit because like there was an extra guy there. Why was that extra guy there? Because one of our guys was late, you know.
Sure.
And it's like understanding the timings, the round, and properly reading it, and you know, at the end executing the call.
I have actually a question to the creation of the lineup. When you knew you had the old 4 people from 100 Thieves, and you knew you had to obviously compensate someone like JKS. Going into this, did you guys go into it with like the thinking of, okay, we need to replace JKS, or did you guys go, or like because you wanted to play the old system? Because obviously you guys played very good Counter-Strike. I personally think with 100 Thieves, and you had good success with the individual players that you have. They're obviously not the very best like on paper, but you guys made it work to be a fucking very strong team. And so my question, did you pick like try to replace someone with JKS, or are you open like for anything new and just like try to make it completely maybe?
We were trying to get something close to Justin, right? Because we had Jay at the beginning of 2018 when Liazz came to the team, right? He was a pretty much the same player JKS is, right? Role-wise, instincts-wise, like a naturally defensive player, right? It's not like an entry or anything crazy like you have Config or, you know, Dupree or whoever, right? And then he was put in these roles like kind of supporting roles, because JKS had a primary, like a star role there, and he delivered. That's right. That's the thing that we saw in the past couple of years. But when Justin left to Complexity, or he left the team, whatever, we were, I mean, at the start of this year, we were trying to get something similar system-wise, but trying to implement Liazz into that JKS role, you know, and then bringing Bentet. What we needed the most out of like next to numbers or whatever, like the raw skill that he has, whatever, but we needed like somebody with a secondary voice. That is one of the problems that we always had in the team. There was no, whoever was the IGL, he was the only voice, right, in terms of calling, obviously, when I'm not able to call, right? So we needed like an extra, like a secondary, not caller, but like I said, voice, somebody who will like speak up and maybe adjust something in the middle of the round, like in the freeze time as well. That's why we try to give Bentet like some of those kind of responsibilities. Right now we are not there yet, you know. I think he's like still in a phase where he's trying to be like relaxed and loose and like himself. And then once we get to that spot, maybe we will get that from him. But once we got him, I think the main goal was to get Liazz into this like closer spots, you know, some that he'll close out the rounds, like, you know, getting the impact kills mid round and, you know, stuff like that. And then Bentet was supposed to be the guy who's going to be, you know, delivering also frags, but like getting the second voice in.
Right, I have a joke, but then I've got a serious point afterwards. So normally I don't explain it like that. I just say it, and then I trust the idiots will figure it out or not. So the joke is this: on the communication angle. The reason I bring that point up as well is because that's another reason why when you have comms, you don't want them to be chaotic like you're talking about now, Kassad, because that's going to get in the way of the call getting through at the right time, or maybe someone speaking over someone. Right, I'll give you an example, right, and just watch how I do this because there's a craft to what I'm doing here. It's basically like flame musical chairs. So one person that was formerly flamed gets to sit down while the other person doesn't get a chair, right? So basically, I'm going to flame Issa using NiKo. So get ready for this. I'm going to give some credit to NiKo on this one, right? Because I've made the point, right? People know this. I wasn't really like subtle about it because I've actually, unlike normal events, I've straight up just heard like, I don't know, like 20 matches of OG or something ridiculous. Like I've heard all these games of all what they were talking. So I actually can say like quite authoritatively, they had, like, their comms were okay, but, like, specifically in this case, Issa, like, he was just, like, short-circuiting the calls, basically. Like, when he would talk, it would get in the way of something, or it would delay someone else talking, and basically, Alexi B, like, because he's Finnish, he would wait, like, you know, fucking half a tea round, and then half a tea half, and then he would just go, right, shut the fuck up, but he wouldn't say it at the beginning, right? So, in this scenario, right, I've just got to say this, right? Issa, no joke, had some of the worst comms I've ever heard, and I also heard the American teams, and they really are doing that meme shit. Like, he's BBB, like, when there's, like, one guy there who got shot by one bullet in the toe, you know, like, they really do that shit. That's not even a joke. So, all I'll say is this. That is a moment when I wish fucking old school NiKo was there, because he would tell him to shut the fuck up. He would just tell him, shut up. Like, I'm talking now, shut up. Like, he actually needs someone to do that. Listen, some players just do. Some players, you know, it's like the old saying in English, the carrot and the stick. Some players, it's the carrot. You just give them praise, you know. Some, you've got to give them that little, you know, you got to let them know every now and then. But, right. Yeah, go on. Yeah.
The thing is, like, that NiKo shut up thing is always like...
Of course, it's a meme, I know, yeah.
Yeah, it's like... But ever since, like, they were... I still remember it was Krisha and Dennis who were talking about, like, the previous round or something, and NiKo was trying to call. And they were, like, talking. He was like, shut up, you know, 3 times.
That's a good example when you should tell someone to shut up, though, of course. Yeah, agreed. Yeah. Exactly, that's what I say. Right, and then the other thing was, the more serious point was, so in your team, right, obviously when I've done those interviews with you, like, I've gone super in-depth on, like, you know, what's, like, JKS like, what's fucking some of these players like. I'm sure we'll talk about big names like NiKo later on. But one player I did want to ask about, actually, is the player you just referred to. Because one thing I think a lot of fans forget, because since when he came into Renegades before... Like you were there, and you had like the foreign players, etc. At that point in time, they were bringing him in to be a fragger. Like he was this guy where I obviously didn't watch him when he was in Australia, but I heard the rep was like he was like the hot shit in Australia. Like he was like the fucking carry player or whatever. Well, that'll sound alien to anyone who watched 100 Thieves because they think he's the support player. And in fact, one of the interesting things is, like you say, he's like the closer. If anything, like Liazz's shit is like to win a 1v2 or something, or like get some kills in like key moments. So I'm sure that had to be like a massive role swap for him. And if anything, he looked like one of the players who did the best at adapting stuff. So give us some thoughts on what's like Liazz's the concept in this team, and like was it a hard transition for him?
Yeah, when he got into Renegades in 2018, once we got him, I didn't know the dude at all. Like we used to like watch Australians because the house in Detroit was like full of Australians. All we did was watching like Australian CS, right? When we like, you know, in the morning, or I don't even know. I can't remember. But the thing is, like, we always watched Liazz, and everybody was like, yeah, Liazz is always good, and Liazz is the best player outside of, like, this team, Australian player outside of this team, living in Australia, whatever, right? And then he got into Renegades in 2018. And immediately, I mean, we knew what kind of player he is, and then his kind of style is clashing with Justin, right? And Justin is overall like, more experienced, you know, player, and, you know, overall better at the moment. And he cannot take his roles, obviously. So we need to put him somewhere. Because Renegades kind of, when they got Liazz and Gratisfaction, they basically brought them in, and that was it. Like, you have this lineup, go. And so
the old school way of recruiting people. You just have that spot. There you go.
Yeah, you are the best player in Australia. It doesn't matter if your like role is the same as us. Just go. And so poor Liazz, obviously, he didn't. You know, he wanted the chance to play the highest level CS. He didn't want to complain. Obviously, he took it. You know, and then we put him in this like supportive bitch spots, you would call him, right? That he needs to do all the dirty work in a way. And then it took him maybe 5-6 months to kind of adapt to all of this like new roles, and he did it well. And he played the next 2 years in that roles. He mastered it in his own way, you know. And he was like winning us important rounds, even with that like supportive role, especially on Katowice major and the major after that in Berlin. It was like he did a good job, right? And now we are switching him back to his old role. And by nature, he's a type of person that is kind of quiet. I don't want to say soft, but quiet. You know, he's like, even if he gets angry about something or like something like affects him, he's not gonna say it. You know, he's just gonna go home after it. He's not gonna say anything. Even if I ask him, like in front of everyone, "Hey Jay, is everything all right?" Like he's gonna not say anything. So I need to go to his place and just, you know, like kind of get him to talk to me, right? But I even told him like multiple times, "Listen, I really want you to get angry sometimes. You know, just get angry. Just slam the desk at least once. Like, you know, just let me know what's happening, you know." And he's like super quiet, but transitioning into this role has not been easy for him, the JKS role. Like he knows right now that is a lot more responsibility in a way. When you have that role, you need to deliver in different fronts. You need to be like a closer. You need to deliver numbers. You need to take initiative. So, you know, I'm giving him a little more responsibilities in terms of like, for example, let's say train again. He's playing with Jake in the brown holes, B holes. So I want him to control the whole area. So he's like playing default, and I want him to listen. We're gonna take the ladder this way or that way. After we take ladder, we're gonna go, you know, and do this or that. He needs to be the one setting the like what needs to be done in that area of the map, right? And then the call like after that is on the IGL, or if he spots something. The same goes for Mirage. He's holding A, Jakem being in connector. You know, I want him to control the rotation mid-round with Jakem and just tell him, okay, we need to do this or start. This is going to be the opener. This is going to be the starter of this round, unless the call is like something different, like a set piece. This is how we start this round, and then he controls the half on that part of the map. That's what I want him to do, right? But it's like him being a little bit like quiet, introvert, quiet kind of personalities, like making it a little bit harder, but we're getting there.
How do you think you get that out of somebody?
Sorry?
How do you think you get that out of somebody if you have like no professional help or?
Well, I don't know, to be honest. I mean, you have to work one step at a time. You need to go one game at a time, one map at a time, one fucking demo at a time, you know, and just like try to build it and try to connect with the players the best you can, you know, try to understand what's gonna get him to the next, you know, not kind of force your way of coaching onto him, because maybe he's gonna understand better if he watches demos. Maybe he's gonna understand better if I fucking write it on a piece of paper, or if I sit with him and just watch somebody does it, you know, and then he's gonna, you know, understand it. It's about the player kind of more than about me.
Nice.
Right, what you say there is actually obviously very telling, because that's the part about coaching that a fan, again, they don't understand, because even their understanding of sports, they tend to just think the coach who wins is the best coach. Whereas like classically in sports, there'll always be some like amazing coaches. Like obviously if anyone knows English football, like Harry Redknapp was an example of this. Like they coach like the lesser players and they just get way more out of them than they should. Well, I can tell you right now, you don't do that by going in and thinking this is my perfect vision of football. Or all these players who aren't the best, you're all going to do all these things that you that's the luxury of like a guy who's at like Real Madrid or something, mate. Like if you work with players like that, some of it is like what you're saying, right? It's a negotiation. You got to figure out what can these guys do, what kind of. So what I want to ask essentially is kind of like what Kassad's vision of CS is, because if people don't know, one of the areas, and this is actually how this show exists with me and LEGIJA, is you can watch people in videos or you can watch them on camera and you can maybe know a bit about what they know about CS. You can sort of try and figure out like how much of this is like for the camera. Does he really know what he's saying? Is he just saying it because he's like 30 seconds? Would he be able to explain it if he had longer? But if you have a conversation with someone, like a real conversation outside of that context, like over a beer or something, you have like 2 hours you could talk, you very quickly find out who knows CS, who has a mind for the game, and who was just, you know, like just fucking putting the crosshair on people and just hoping that they get a kill, right? So one of the reasons I know Kassad definitely knows the game is he's one of those guys, LEGIJA, right? There's even some coaches in the game where they are just people, like, they're like the big brother of the team. They're just there to be like, you know, calming people down emotionally. There's the coaches that like can sort of like very, very lightly talk about the game, like, oh, you know, we lost a couple of like 4 spies or whatever, like, but if you ask Kassad something like, oh yeah, you're having a pretty good like T-side on train there, but like what was going on? He'll be like, well, in the 27th round, you know, like we kind of fucked up that like second flash, and then, you know, they pulled back at the, and you're like, all right, mate, fucking hell, we're not watching the demo, but like that's the point. He's got a mind for it. Like, so what's the Kassad philosophy on CS roughly? Like, give us some big thoughts.
I don't know. The thing is, like, for me in this team, why this team was always like kind of good for me. I was never a fan of default-based CS. I know you need to have a strong default, you have a decent default, but for me, it's like understanding what kind of level are your players on, you know, in terms of like understanding the game sense or whatever, right? Because you cannot force somebody to go above their level of understanding of them. Just make sure they and just accept that that's going to work, right? Because you have like a player that's sharp, right? You know, super sharp, and if you put him in a setup, if you then tell him like this is going to be the setup for this round, this setup is called that, and he's going to deliver you numbers, right? You cannot force him like to do like some crazy rotations and some crazy like, you know, game sense things, like for example for like Simple does and all these tier 1 players. You know, you need to understand the level of your like that your players are kind of, you know, on, and then work with that. For me, it's always I always like strats and always like setups. I always like this kind of execution based CS rather than default based, and at the same time I always try to kind of connect the player's instinct, like allowing them to use their instincts in the game, right? If somebody tells me, listen, I think this guy is weak, can somebody flash for me, I'm just going to kill him, and we're just going to be like, that's fine, you can do it, right? But I also like to have like a lot of openers to the rounds, you know, like a starters that's going to get me my, for example, entry on Mirage. Like, let's say we are running a default with this opener on Mirage, right? And then I want to get some sort of pass smokes or flashes to get my entry into the ladder, right? And he's going to create some space for me to open up a 1v1 for my best player to do, right? And then I'm going to flash for my best player. He's going to get a 1v1. And because he's my best player, he's going to be better than the opposite player on that spot. He's going to get me the kill, right? But I'm going to set him up for that kill by not having a special full-on execute strat that you see on this stupid YouTube videos, right? With like a bunch of mollies and flashes and shit, right? You're going to have a good opener. You're going to have good entry smokes, your entry flashes that's going to put your aggressive player into a spot where he can maybe get a kill, right? But if he doesn't get a kill, he's going to get a space for you. You know, that's going to cause some rotations that you drew before the game started, right? And then you understand that, how CTs will react that, and then you set up your best player to either like open up that part of the map or close it out for you. It's just simple as that in my head.
Just quickly for the viewer, it's nice when you say the difference between like playing a default style and like a style what you say that you like to play like more set things, starters, executes, like just in general more things that you practice a lot. Just think how many more reps you guys have doing these rounds, and how much confidence you have, and know how good these rounds work compared to like when you play default and you always have to kind of adapt pretty much. When you play default, you just adapt. But you guys have so many reps in your rounds, and that's why I think it's fucking good. But it takes a long time. Like that's why I think also, like approaches like these take also longer time for a team like to actually connect and like get actually really strong. But once they connect, they're fucking dangerous. And even like many people say, they play very strategical style, we counter them, we can watch the demos. Even if you think you can watch the demos, just because this team reps this so much in practice, they are aware, they are ready. They will just destroy you because pre-aim reaction, they know how people react to that. And even if you anti that, you still have
exactly the level of confidence as well.
Yes.
The level of confidence. If you did that play, you know that play is strong for you. You're confident in like getting out and getting that duel, right? It is usual against the players that are on usual spots. They're not going to be on the fucking sky or under the ground shooting at you. They're going to be on usual spots, right? And then if you go out and you're confident, you're going to get that battle, and the round is going to end up the same.
Yes, and it's the same that we what you also said. What we made the mistake in Big with Smuya. We tried to put him in this high-level Counter-Strike that we had, I think. And he obviously was a very fucking individually good player, but he just couldn't fit in the system. He struggled a lot, and that's why I think it's very good, the approach that you have.
Yeah, if a player has a limit with understanding the game, you just you just set him up where he's like what he's good in, good at.
Yes.
Just set him up like with his setups, with his like angles, with his battles that he's going to win for you, right? Don't put him in some crazy, like super complicated like shit that he's not going to understand. He's going to be second guessing himself. That's the first thing. And when you're like that player like starts second guessing himself, he's going to doing random things, and then there is like no chance for you to win the round or the game,
Right, let's do it. Let's have a little chat about Cloud9, Kassad. Not the maybe your favourite part of your career, but one that people are very interested in. Obviously, you haven't spoken on it much. So here's what I want to ask initially is when you were announced as the coach of that team, I think a lot of people got very excited. Like they heard like they've got all this money to spend. Kassad's not just going to go to like just another team. He's potentially going to be part of like building a project. Also, it was definitely billed in the like press as like it's a mixture of you and Henry's vision for the game. You're both getting input on it, etc. Like when you initially were doing doing this project, how much input do you think you got to actually have in like the concept of the roster and who did the roles and whatnot? Like, how much of the players that actually ended up on the team, because obviously there's plenty of players that were approached that, you know, did went to different teams. How much of it was Kassad in terms of that first lineup, would you say?
I don't think I got that much of influence in the lineup. I think it all went to mostly C9 and Henry. And obviously, I think I always wanted Voxic, because Voxic was like one of my favorite oppers, to be honest, because I think he's a type of person that if you tell him like you need to go here, you need to kill this guy, he's gonna go and kill this guy. If you tell him like to do a bunch of shit that he doesn't understand, he's gonna, you know, try to do it, but at the end he's not gonna be able to.
Sure.
And you know, and that can create a lot of problems down the road as well. But the whole lineup, I didn't have much. Like I said, I didn't have much input into like creating the whole thing. And the biggest reason like for splitting out is like me. I don't think I was like providing that much, to be honest, because I was looking at the game the way I just told you, and I think Alex was looking at the game totally opposite. Like he wants to run a bunch of defaults. He wants to run like super kind of organized and kind of overcomplicated in some situations, right? And I wasn't a fan of that at all, you know. And I found myself like not really helping all that much, you know. And then what you're gonna do? It's not really good for either me to force my way and like, listen, Alex, you know, you need to stop this, and I'm gonna do this my way, you know, or him saying like, fuck you, Kassad, I'm gonna do this my way, right? It's not gonna. At the end, it cannot be good for anyone, right? So we needed to like kind of part our ways right there. And it was good. It was at the beginning, so he doesn't have like too many problems, you know, just unnecessary. Like
from what you said there, if I connect the 2 points together, do you think that was also, listen, obviously if everyone watches his POVs, Voxic definitely missed a lot of AWP shots, which didn't help. But do you think he also was kind of like a mismatch? Because I know, for example, I don't think it's a coincidence that Voxic shined under Karrigan. Like Karrigan is the guy who goes the other way. He goes like, right, you're my star player. Like, here's what you like to do. What do you want me to do? How do I set you up? Like, it's like you were saying before, I'll get you into the situations and then you just kill the guy, right? And listen, a guy like Voxic, you don't have to tell him that, mate. He's ready to kill the guy. You just put him in his position and basically like give him the ball, get the fuck out of his way. That's his mentality. But I could imagine if you play in the system Alex is describing, that feels like maybe a mismatch.
I don't think he was like. I don't think Voxic was ready for Alex's vision of the game as well, or like kind of was able to do what Alex wants him to do. You know, and I think that's one of the reasons why they parted ways. I actually didn't expect him to be benched so soon after I switched to the Extremium. But you know, like I said, I don't think he was the right fit with the Alex's like kind of vision of the whole game. And I'm sorry it didn't, because Voxic, it's like he's really good. And like you said, under Karrigan, he was like, I mean, he was like what, top 13, 12, whatever.
Yes,
he was insane, dude. I remember watching him in Mouse Sports in Berlin when they were like playing. We were just next to them. They were playing against Liquid and I don't know who else. Dude was insane, you know. He's insane. But I think it's a good point for Karrigan. I don't think the Karrigan is one of those really good IGLs in terms of like creating space for his like star players, and not so much as creating as like not taking away space from them.
Yes.
You know, for example, you can take a look at Complexity. I used to think that Blameup was doing extremely good job, but right now I think he's just taking a little bit too much space of some players in the team. And when you like take a look at their demos and everything, I think like too much space. Obviously, he's delivering great numbers, right?
Of course, yeah.
The guy is super sharp. Like, I don't know. I think maybe he should be using that more, because I think teams can a little bit maybe counter them in some ways. But that's another subject, I guess. But the IGL like Alexi is also, I think, taking a little bit more space from his other players. For example, Karrigan he's not taking any space. He actually creates so much space for his players, yes. You know, and then that's why Voxic. I think even Alex said this in one of our talks back then, that he thinks that Voxic was so good in that Mouse Sports because he was like playing in a lot of setups, in a lot of strats, in a lot of like set position, and he was like, that's something that suits him. And I think he was right about that thing. I think.
Yeah. By the way, if people, sorry, go on.
Yeah, if Voxic ends up in a team, you know, in the future, I think he should be going in a team with like that kind of structure.
Like, you know, when people always say in interviews, because it's a great line, if you say, like, I don't care, you know what my score is, I just care that we win. Most players say that so that they can excuse it when they just have a bad game and they don't do well. Like, Carrigan, you can tell, like, he doesn't give a fuck what his score is, because the whole point is, it's like I always say with players like that, his kills are on the other guy's part of the scoreboard. Like, he helped that guy get those kills, you know. So, like, if I'm the IGL and I have some of the players he's had over his career, why the fuck would I care what my score is? I'll just rather have NiKo, fucking Woxic, Device, let those guys get the kills and we'll win the game. Who gives a fuck what my score is?
That's how it looks like from the outside. Obviously, I know Carrigan, like, very little, you know, just here and there. I don't know Blame or Alexi that much as well either, but it's just the outside look of their games, you know. It looks that way, you know. It really does. That Carrigan is like creating so much space for his own players. I think the twists now in phase is gonna be like released, you know, unchained in a way, you know. Because I remember Twist was like before Liquid, Twist was playing in that Misfits lineup and TSM at some point.
Yes.
And I think he was super aggressive at the time. Like, he was the guy who was going in first. And then he went to Liquid, and he was a little bit of a more passive, and, you know, Nitro, LEGIJA were like, you know, at the time, especially LEGIJA, he was like super aggressive. But I think Twist was like, he's got in a little bit of a too defensive role for him.
Yes. And
right now with Carrigan, maybe if he gets like more aggressive ones, I think he's going to do good. I mean, we saw like a few games that they played in Pro League, even though they didn't really...
They didn't win the games, but they had some good performances, yeah.
Yeah, but he was playing really good.
Yes. Yeah, if people don't know, like, I actually noticed a little bit, like, he's someone, again, I've talked to CS with behind the scenes, and I will say, like, I think one of his problems he fell into is, like, I think a mixture of that was that Team Liquid had too many, like, star names, so as a result, everyone can't have the spots they want. Like, someone has to eat shit, essentially, like, so the other guys can dine out. And then his other problem was, I think he fell in love with a concept that's actually, if people know the old school player from 1.6 Nothing, who obviously played in Cloud9 and CSGO, he had the same flaw, right? Which is, if you actually looked at his raw skill set and who he was as a beginning player, same thing. It's like they were the entry player. They were the guy who just run. It's a young guy with bonkers aim. You know, they run in, and the idea is they're the guy who just shoots you instantly in the head while you have a flash in your hand. Like, fuck, no, you just try to pick me. Like, but here's the problem. Those players sometimes, this is why I bring this player up, because I know from talking to him, it was the same thing. They fall in love with this idea that to be a complete player is the ultimate dream. And they think complete means I win the clutches as well, or I lurk at times. And so unfortunately in that scenario, it's like, dude, that's like trying to be like you're like the best scorer, the best striker in football. And you're like, I'll just fucking defend half the game, because if I could defend as well, I'd be the most ultimate. It's like, yeah, in theory, but like, you know, there's a reason we have roles in the game, isn't there? Like, there's certain people do the things they're the best at.
Yeah, we don't need like people to be like complete. Every single player It doesn't need to be complete, obviously. Like, I have an aggressive one, you know, and he's gonna deliver something at the beginning of the round for me, and he's gonna be, you know, using his nades at the beginning and running out first when we do execute in the late round. And that's his job, right? And he's going to have a clear pathing left or right or whatever, right? And he's going to have flashes for him. He's going to kill the first guy, or, you know, be traded after the first guy. And I have like my best player closing out the round because he's the good at clutches, right? I'm going to put him in the clutch in the other round. And everybody needs to have their role. Obviously, the most obvious role, the lopers, the IGLs, you know, everybody has their own thing they need to be good at. If you're trying to be good at everything, then you maybe end up being good at nothing. Yeah. So, and then you end up, you know, on a bench. But yeah, I agree that everybody needs to understand their own roles and work on them, and then you get the right roles and the right team, and then you maybe win something.
Because, you know, obviously, like, listen, so go on.
Go, it's fine.
Basically, like, on that topic, I'll give you the obvious example to me, because people are going to think, because obviously I've always been like a big fan, like Existence and Astralis and all these teams that are like tactical and stuff. I enjoy that, like, because it's like, it's intellectually stimulating. There's a lot to think about, like, how are they doing it, what they're doing with the quality of the players. But I enjoy what I would just call like fucking brawl Counter-Strike as well, like Smash Mouth Counter. Like, one of my favourite players of all time is fucking Config, mate. And I tell you what, I don't want Config to be a complete player. I don't want him thinking, I want him to just run through a fucking brick wall with that AK and terrify the opponent. Like, that's all I need you to do, bro. You don't have to think beyond that. Just run down that corner, shoot everyone at the end of the AK. That's what I need.
The thing with Config is, like, I like the way that he started. Every team needs one Config, you know, his style.
Yes.
Because the guy is gonna do the same aggressive shit on 2-1 and 14-14.
Yes.
He doesn't give a shit. He's gonna, if he knows like that's a play for him, he's gonna do it any time of the map. And you need that guy, you know, that's gonna do the same play at 14-14 and then 2-2, you know. And I have that one in Jakem. He was always like this, basically the copy of them. Two of them are just basically the same player.
Sure.
Running in first, and just fucking going in everywhere, just through the smokes, through everything, just, first one in.
They have a concept for that in basketball. It's called the irrational confidence guy, because it's the guy where, like, they'll take like the 3-point shot in basketball when like it's like 18 seconds on the shot clock still. Normally you're supposed to like pass it around. Look, they'll do that at the end of the game, the same they would in the first quarter. But like you say, the key thing is you would never want a team full of those guys. It'd be a nightmare. But if you have none of those guys, you're gonna lack a bit of spice. You won't have a little bit of the punch, like one of the things that kind of goes with what you're saying there is, when it's the 14-14 round, the play that was easy to make at 2-1, a lot of people's, like in English, we'd say like their bomb gets fucking tight, doesn't it? They start worrying like, oh, fuck, I can't die in this. The whole point is confident in that scenario. He's just running through the wall, isn't he? He's just going. Yeah,
the CS, like you play the map is not going to change like when it's 2-2 and it's 14-14. It's the same map. And you're going to end up in the same situation on practice that you had on 2-2, that your player reacted and ran in first. And then the same situation is going to repeat. You're going to have 4v4 that you had in that map on Scrim. You're going to have it on the official game. 4v4, same map, same situation, and I want my player to do the same. If you want to do the second time, if you get killed, you get killed. But if you had confidence to do it and you felt it was the right play, just go and do it. I don't care.
Even this player gives you in a 14-14 a lot of confidence yourself. If you see like he's taking room, because your game style is also changing once you lose confidence. You're playing way more passive. You're afraid to take room. You use more equipment. But this guy has balls, and he will just try to go, and he will give you confidence just by being present and how he is in the moment. Yeah. And it's very important to have players. Because if you wouldn't have this guy, imagine how much worse it would be if you have one more person on top of that shitting his pants. You would take way less space, much, much slower. So it's very important to have this. And it's good because config is also, you can just tell he's like how he's in real life, he's in game, and it reflects perfectly. And that's why I think he also benefits kind of from that, just because he's like that.
Yeah, from sure. Like, I always want one guy like that. So that's why if you get 10, you just you can slam the desk. Obviously you don't slam the desk every fucking time you die or some shit like that. But I want some passion, some energy, something. It's good for the team. It's always good for the team,
I definitely agree, Leggy. He's definitely a player that like his character is like mirrored in the game. Like if people know that famous story that was like revealed in Zonic's fucking biography that he would actually have been on Astralis instead of Magisk, but he came online right after Zonic had said like, but I don't want any more like Twitter drama. And then he just like did a tweet at me online. And listen, like that's already like fucking red rag to a bull, as we say in English. But so he, doing a tweet at me basically fucked up his chance on Astralis. But here's the mad thing. That's exactly what I actually love about config, because I know he didn't spend 0.01 seconds thinking about that tweet. He just he smashed the keyboard, he pressed the button. Listen, I've been there, brother. I'm doing that every day, but I just can't get fired. So no, that's what you want in a player sometimes. But as we say, if you only want one or two of those players, you don't want 5. Well, if you have 5, you're in trouble. I can tell you right now.
Didn't he try to knife someone at 14-14 or something?
At the major, yeah, yep.
Overpass, right?
Yep.
Yeah, it's fucking crazy, right?
Yeah. As we always say, those are the stories that are really funny when you win the round. When you lose the round, people remember them differently then, don't they? Yeah. Exactly.
You want it, so.
Right, what about this then? So on the topic, though, you talked before about Alex. Right, here's what's bizarre. Because, obviously, I have my own perspective on CS from all the years I've watched. What I find weird is this. I understand, by the way, completely why fans are flaming Cloud9. Look, it hasn't lived up to expectations. It was all these millions and millions of dollars. And as a result, you'd expect it to be a top team. And also, they have a big problem at the moment, which is even when they play well and they play so many of the teams close, they do tend to lose a lot of those games. You have to win them eventually. You can't just keep saying, well, it was close. But here's one thing I think's weird, is because people are on the hype train of we're going to trash them. It reminds me when everyone was trashing Ents. At least in Ents, it was a bit more justified. When they trash all the players in the team, I don't get that, because, for example, with Alex, here's what I don't get. I know part of it is that this team hasn't been a top team, and when he left Vitality, they became arguably the #1 team. So they all think, oh, see, it shows Alex isn't good. It's the opposite. If he had the Vitality team, by the way, less experienced in terms of ZWoo, and they were amazing, and now he has a team where he doesn't even have a ZWoo, he has like 2 American players and then a bunch of like supportive elements that are good, but he's always close against Na'Vi and fucking Gambit, like all the top teams. Dude, that means he's doing something. Like his style must have like a logic to it and effectiveness, right?
No, listen, I mean, maybe me and him didn't like see the game as the same, but he's smart and he works a lot. Like, don't get me wrong, his way of CS is not the wrong way. You know, it's the same way mine, like, style is not the wrong style. He does a lot of things good. He is good, like, creating strats, finding smokes, like, organizing mid-round, calling mid-round. Like, he always has the same tone of voice, like, when he's calling, so people don't get, like, you know, overly confused or something.
Right.
He is doing a lot of good things, right? But right now, like, you said that they're not closing games. You know, they're not winning games or whatever you want to call it, right? But I think there's few reasons for that. Obviously, the 60% of their lineup are rookies.
Yes.
That's like they have Essetag on the op as well. He's not a clear opper. He's like more of a hybrid opper, right? And he's a solid hybrid opper, but he's not a primary one. And they have 60% of rookies, Floppy and Mezzi and Zepa, who didn't play almost any lands except for Floppy, who played maybe one or two, you know. And then they have Alex, who had a massive break in 2020 after the Katowice. He took like a 10-month break, and then we had like Essetag in Australis, who had like online part of the summer that he played well, maybe 30-ish maps with Australis. So you said it nicely. I think they're not doing bad as people think. It's just people like it's like I spent so much money and like, you know, it's a bullshit and whatever. But I think Alex in general as an IGL he can be a really good IGL in the right like team, you know. Just give him the pieces that he wants and pieces that players that understand him. I think he can be really good, you know.
But man, you have to be like genuinely honest also and like really fair always when you judge teams, I think, because it's so hard being a good team in like 3-4 months only. It's so hard, especially with the competition right now. There is like the top 20 can beat each other all the time. There's not even a constant top 3 that we have, which we had like 1 year ago. Yes. We always had a constant top 3, and there is nobody. If you reach this team, you're fucking next level. But right now there is one level. There's one level, no consistency, and you cannot judge these teams because look, he has 4 months. He's almost beating these top level teams with players where Kassad says 60% of them have never like played any super professional Counter-Strike or whatever. They also need experience still. Look at Gambit. It took them 2 years to become a fucking insane team, and look now they're dominating the scene. And I'm telling you, this team will not be just right now. This team will also dominate on LAN, and this team will keep continuing being good.
Well, I need to see it. You know,
of course.
I need to see it. I generally don't believe in that right now because it's online. I don't believe it because it's online. I think we discussed it even. The things that
was before we started recording.
Yeah, the things that team do nowadays, it's fucking crazy, right? Like the way people are taking space, the calls by IGLs that are being called in some of the rounds, you know, double calling, triple calling, you know, rush B, you get stopped, you call a rush B again, you know, and then you get stopped somewhere and people like dry swinging somewhere. Like all these calls and all these moves individually, like all this confidence that coming from online is fucking insane. Russians and CIS teams, they have their own fucking meta. They don't care what's the meta is. They're just running their own, you know, and it's working now. I mean, teams like Gambit, they have some cool stuff doing that are doing right now that people are copying actually, and it's pretty cool, you know.
They have insane team play, insane.
And they're sharp online. They're fucking crazy, you know. They're doing all these crazy things. But the question is, when you go to LAN, like, is your IGL gonna make the same calls that he did online? Are your players going to dry swing, and when you get shot by a top-tier player, top-5 player, in the middle of any map, are you going to swing that again? Because, like, let's be honest, some of these rounds they're winning is because somebody swung somewhere and headshotted somebody else, and then this guy, all right, let's do this. And you get a double kill, 5v3, 5v4, whatever, 4v2, doesn't matter, right? Somebody repushes something for the info, somebody pushes some part of the map by himself without having any kind of reason for it, just unreasonable push that works. You know, is this going to happen on LAN environment?
Okay, I'll tell you one thing. What I personally think. I'm obviously kind of on your side. I believe obviously it's a lot having LAN experience, but I'm seeing like the perspective from a UFC fighter now. They always speak about ring rust, not fighting 1.5 years, how it's gonna be in front of people, crowd again. It's different. I can also imagine, obviously, ring rust for them is also they haven't actually fought fights. They are still playing LAN events, but I see like these online games like a sparring for them, and like going to a fucking actual event or main event for them, like a online tournament, offline tournament. And I can also imagine that it's going to be different feeling.
No,
because
don't get me wrong.
From my experience myself, I have played Counter-Strike for very long time. And then after 2 years not playing, I come back and the first official, I shit my pants, I'm shaking, and things that I never used to before for a very, very long time. But like, okay, I'm fucking back to this. Your adrenaline pumps up, and it's going to be same for the other players as well.
The thing is, like, the thing that I think maybe we don't think the same way. There is a new generation of players that are coming into the scene. Don't get me wrong. CIS, every other country, there is a new generation of players. Like, people are talking all these like CS players going into Valorant. Let them go.
Of course,
they can go.
Yeah,
there's a new generation of players coming in, and bunch of these players that are in these online teams, they're going to be good on LAN. The question is that I'm not talking about the players. Are teams going to be good on LAN? You know,
sure.
Not the players. Some of the players will show up, they will have the numbers the same as they did online, but not all of them. Yeah, the teams won't play the same. The IGLs won't make the same calls. 100%. And that's going
to be different. That's for sure.
I'll give you an anecdote that explains exactly if a fans, and obviously most fans, even if they've played a LAN, like it's not the same as like a big LAN with stage and, you know, pressure and you're playing against legendary names. I'll give everyone a very quick story because it's names that people might actually know. So it's a boomer reference, but obviously one of the most old school players in Counter-Strike was an American player called K-Sharp, right? And everyone knows, oh, he was like a legendary AWPer, he was like fucking super sick, blah, blah, blah. What they don't know is this, right? Is that was at the beginning of his career. And then when he went to loads and loads of LANs, as like the European teams like were becoming more and more dominant, and to even be the best NA team, and actually now you're maybe like the 4th best team in the world, you know, you're probably not going to win the tournament, you got a chance still, you know. I used to say to him, dude, you actually are mad skilled with the AWP. Like, why don't you use it in all these games when you play against the Swedes? Like, I noticed, like, you know, I'd see times when you had the money to buy it and you just like, it's like you went safe and you just bought like an M4 and you just held an angle. I said, why would you do that? And he said, because here's the thing, mate, like all those demos you're thinking of where I'm just wrecking everyone with the AWP, like they're all online games. Like I have 60 ping there, or the opponent I'm playing against doesn't play LANs, and we're all just doing crazy shit, and I just hit the crazy shots, and you know, and there's not, you know, the cost of losing the game's not that much. He said, when you go to a LAN and it's real LAN, like, you know, the ping's 5, the computers are all perfect, there's no reg problems whatsoever, everything's going to hit. He said what happens is you buy that AWP, and if you think of the old school 1.6 economy, like they used to have harsh resets. Like if you're on CT side and you lose pistol, 4th round when you buy that AWP and armor, you have nothing else, and if you lose that, like you're back to fucking nothing. He said when you buy it in that scenario and you take that corner and then all of a sudden some like god tier Swedish fucking AK player peeks out and instantly headshots you with a fucking AK. He said, you think twice about buying it after that. You just think like maybe, you know, sometimes I'll do it, but I'm not doing that every time. Like that's a recipe for disaster. So I kind of agree in that sense with you. Like the obvious example would be Yikinda, right? Because he's doing so many amazing moves online that look super sick right now. So I'll use the old joke that I used to use for LEGIJA's boys Antares, which is like, right now you're Neo in the Matrix. The problem you have is when Neo went out of the Matrix, all his like fucking muscles were atrophied and he was like eating gruel. He was like, how do I do this shit? Like, you know, he wasn't a superhuman anymore. He had to learn all that shit. Also, here's the thing. I agree with Kassad. Obviously, some of these players are going to make it. I'm sure 1 or 2 of these teams will even be very good. But the idea that like all of them are going to go from playing like a fucking DreamHack qualifier to like, they're not going to be good instantly. It's going to take time for sure.
No way.
I would speak only Gambit.
Right, only Gambit's your pick. Okay.
I'm only speaking Gambit.
Fair enough.
Just because I see how insane the team is. Like, if you know the teams are copying from you tactics and rounds, then you know.
I'm just happy Hobbit is kind of back. You know, people wrote him off a lot.
He's
sure.
I'm happy.
He's playing really fucking.
Yes. Yes.
Dude, that's a topic, by the way, that we could touch, because I feel like this is the most missed topic ever, because it's obviously relevant to Woxic, right? Because now everyone's going to say, well, what did you expect? Woxic sucked in mouse spots online, etc. Here's one thing I'm really sick of in Counter-Strike, is think about how many times a player was in not great form. How about Magisk before he was in Astralis? When he was in that Optic team in like North America, he was nothing special. Yeah. No one was like, oh my God, he's carrying on. No, he's just an okay player, right? People have this mistake in Counter-Strike where, because they don't know things like personal life or what your motivations are, or how you're even used in your team, or how you need to be used. Maybe you don't even know how you need to be used. They do this thing, right, where they only look at form, which is like, you know, how good you are like this week, in the last 3 weeks, let's say, or the last 2 months. And they think that that's like a permanent thing. So when you're good, they think your form's going to be good forever. And once you drop off, think of all the names now, Kenny S, Guardian, Woxic. They just write you off instantly. And they're like, right, this guy sucks, he'll never be good again. It's like, mate, that guy didn't forget how to play Counter-Strike. Like, his aim didn't just get 4 times worse. Like, something's going on there. So if people really think we only have to, like, kick out the old people and bring in all the new ones, like, there's a reason why some of these names will go back to the top again. I mean, think of people like JW. Everyone wrote him off like 4 years ago. Like, he was banging sometimes last year. He was right back to his best at times. Like, there's something about Counter-Strike that I think fans miss there. Like, it's why we have that classic saying, like, it's one of my favourite quotes, like, form is temporary, class is permanent. Like, if you actually have the fucking, like, the real skills at Counter-Strike, you know the game, it'll come back around eventually if you keep trying. What do you think on this, Kassad? Because obviously you took a gamble on Woxic in this team.
Yeah, I mean, Woxic, like, he was good, like, shortly before we actually got him, right? He was, like, considered very good, you know. And I think you are right at some point, but also there is a matter of, like, players as well being their fault. Sometimes they just fade away because they have different priorities in life once they start earning a little bit more money.
Sure.
You know, the motivation gets a little bit lower, and then, like I said, priorities get a little bit different, and then that's when they start, like, dropping off. Some of it's like being used, or some of the players being used at the wrong position. It's a good example for Magisk. I mean, Dupree is a bigger example there for me rather than Magisk, because before Magisk came back, Dupree was not in his natural position.
When they had Kirby, yeah.
Yeah, they had Kirby, and then Dupree was kind of more passive than he's used to playing. Like, Dupree is an entry, and then he is an entry. That's his role. That's his instinct. That's how he plays, and that's his role, right? And then Magisk came into the team. He got some of the spots, like defensive spots, and Dupree was transferred into a more aggressive role. And look what happened. They became the best team that ever played. So yes. You know, and then there is like a lot of aspects to talk in that subject. It's like some of the players are not being used the right way. Some of the players is being their own fault. You just need to find the right player. You know, Hobbit, I don't know what happened to him. He kind of faded completely after the Gambit role, and he had like I don't even know who he played after that, but.
I think he played in K23 or something, or like a different team, some like Kazakhstani thing. As far as I know, by the way, if people don't know, I mean, you can look this up. After he won the major, which, by the way, like, obviously you don't expect you're going to do that in your career when you've only played at top level a few years. I think he went and he literally got married and he has like a kid. So
yes,
I'm sure, like you say, he had priorities.
What I just wanted to say, he has a baby, and now this baby is maybe 2 or 3 years old, going kindergarten. Relax. There's sometimes things in your life that fucking take a toll on you, and it's getting hard.
It's different. It's different for different players. It's not always like team's fault. It's not always like, sometimes it's the player's fault. You don't know. Like, it's from player to player.
Bro, as an 18-year-old kid, you don't have to fucking worry about taxes or fucking bullshit. That your mom is gonna deal with everything for you.
Yes.
But if you're 25 and you're moved out of your family, you live somewhere else, and this is coming, and then health insurance.
You fall in love for God's sake, you know.
Yes.
You know.
Love, yes.
When you fall in love, like, things are different.
You're getting
like, especially if you get like a first, like a proper girlfriend, right? Like a relationship, you know, and things will look a little bit different. Like, if there is not somebody to actually like try to like direct you in the right way, you can you know, drop off, fade away in CS as well.
Oh, for sure, yeah.
Players,
there's a lot of things to talk about in that subject. Like, it's crazy, right?
Hard, man.
Oh, there's one of those ones where, like, listen, all that topic, obviously, the whole, like, they got the girlfriend and stuff. Like, I know that I always get spun out in some bullshit angle of like, oh, it's blaming girls. Like, no, I've always said there's two angles to that. One, that's usually someone who's inexperienced with women, so he's just letting the woman just take over completely, which is like it's in an imbalanced relationship in that sense. And sometimes it's true. Sometimes you also have some girlfriends who are just knotters. Like, everyone's heard the stories where you get some player who was really good, and then all of a sudden his girlfriend starts sort of hanging around with the team, and then, you know, one day he's just saying some mad shit. Like, you know, Cindy was thinking like maybe in the team, it's like, if I'm the IGL, I'll be like, who gives the fuck what she thinks? Like, I'm the IGL, shut up. Like, you know, that's why I don't know if people know this, but at the beginning of last year, when me and Chad were doing the Blast desks, when they were doing like that Blast LAN thing, where it was like the spring series, etc., Chad kept alluding constantly to the fact that Team Liquid had brought these girlfriends with them to the event. And I know a lot of fans would think, like, what's the big deal? You know, like the top players are in team, because some of these guys didn't have girlfriends before, at least not while they're like traveling to events with them. So if you've ever been in teams, you know, you never know what the dynamic's going to be after that. It could be fine, could be great. Maybe they're supportive. Maybe it's the opposite. Like, you never know. And from the outside, we're never going to know that. We're just going to look in the server and go, this guy sucks, or wow, why doesn't he know how to play anymore?
It's just a weird subject, because like if you're playing from home, right, you're not an international like overseas team or something, you don't see your girlfriend, your family 6 months during a year, right, and then you're living normal, like I said, normal life, like playing CS, whatever, and then you have a girlfriend and everything. I don't see a reason why would you take your girlfriend on a tournament. It's your, you know, you need to be focused there, you need to be like, you know, ready, and you cannot be like having stupid, you know how like relationships are, like let's not kid ourselves, right? There's always like stupid fights about nothing, you know, and that can fuck you up, that can fuck with your head, right? Because like relationships are not easy. They're not easy. Like if you're 18 or 35, it's still hard. Sure. And it can affect, but teams that are bringing their girlfriends, even though they're kind of living a, let's say like a normal life, you know, I don't see the point in that. For example, like I can never, for my guys in the past, right, they were living in America, right, and then nobody was from America, like Australia, me from Europe, Jake from Norway, and then if somebody wants to have a girlfriend on the tournament because that's like the only week that he can see her into the extreme months, how can I say no to that, you know?
Yes. Sure.
The guy is going to be literally unhappy, and then, you know, he's going to be upset at me, and he's going to be like generally like down, and then it's going to affect his, you know, confidence, and then his performance, and then he's going to have a bad relationship with me after that, and it's not going to be good, right? But that's just only for my guys, the people who are actually like living overseas, and, you know, it's a different kind of, you know, environment.
The other angle as well as to why I think people have to stop sort of like writing the legends off it. The way I describe it is like, don't ever bury a legend until you really know like there's nothing left in the tank. It's the reason why, as much as everyone's like sort of laughing now that he wants to come back, I've said, if I'm a team out there, I wouldn't be a top team that do it. It'd be one that needs to gamble a bit, but I think a team should gamble on Guardian. If it's true that he really wants to play and he'll really put in the hours, this is a fantastically experienced player. Because there's another angle that people are missing, right? Is I can get you a player right now from FPL who could beat a bunch of top players in any, like you throw him in a dual server, an FPL game, he might destroy him with aim, but he doesn't know how to win. He doesn't know how to do things at the top level. Like there's things that like if Guardian just gets his aim back together, all of a sudden activates all of the other strengths he has that the other guy doesn't have. Like the guy straight out of FPL, all he has is that aim. It's just a raw young talent. That's all he's living off right now.
Yeah, you're gonna get some years with him, like whatever. He has like a longer expiration that he's just young. He's just, you know, starting off. These like older players, they have an expiration rate. They cannot just play till they're 40 or something. But yes, in a Guardian situation, I think with that all that he has accomplished in his career, right? I think, and if he really wants it, like you said, I think he definitely deserves a chance somewhere. You know, at least like a chance, right? The same goes for a player like Oscar.
Oh yeah, for sure. He's a fucking sick player, mate.
But he's himself in his way with his attitude. Like there's
I don't know about the attitude or anything like that.
It has to be. It has to be.
We played against him.
You're stupid if you don't want his skill.
Not so long ago. He's literally the same Oscar he was in Mouse Sports. The dude is insane to play against. He's so annoying. He destroys your like every default. He's like, you know, everywhere, and he's never going down without taking somebody with him.
Yes.
Yeah.
So the same old Oscar. I don't know, like if he's like motivation, like what's his about in that area. But you know, that's another player that deserves a chance in a good team, you know, in a
Yes.
well, in a higher tier team. I'm not saying the team that he's playing right now is bad. It just needs he just needs a chance to maybe get in a higher tier, kind of.
What important is also to know that like when you lose confidence in your aiming and like you're slacking with hitting and shots and everything, with the time also your decision making is gonna change because you don't hit the shots that you played or from the angles that you always played before.
Sure.
You will automatically change your game style, play differently, and your mindset of the game is also changing. That's why I think for people like Guardian, obviously they have it way easier to become again where they were than many other players have, just because they had this experience, and it doesn't take them too much to get back to the performance. But I think it's pretty much only confidence and own mindset. Nothing else, because you've played it already once. It's just in your head, and how do you get back to it?
I'm gonna pop up another name, Forest.
Sure.
I mean, this team Dignitas right now, they're not really a big of a threat, I guess, to any title contender kind of thing. But I think he's still capable of putting numbers in a high tier team. Definitely, Forest.
It's sad we haven't guy in a fucking phase of genuinely. I wish I could have done that. Not necessarily in a phase, but in a mousebots phase, just a tight team where good in-game leader and, well, with phase maybe not the best in-game leader, but you know how I mean it. Like, but with someone with Kerrigan where he actually plays with one more year, give it a go, just see how fucking genius kid is. Kid.
He's way older than you, mate. Come on, mate. Yeah. That one's ridiculous. Isn't he like 5 years older than us, Mike?
No,
the thing about that as well is like as you're describing here, another factor I think when you talk about these players is, right, when you have a player who's played at such a legendary level as that, like, listen, you'd have to be like Forrest was never known as the guy. Like, put it this way, this is why Get Right and Forrest are such an interesting personality contrast. Get Right is the guy who, I tell you, even in Dignitas, he was still killing himself trying to win. It's like when Gob was in that NRG team with you in America. I heard those stories from Richard. Like, even though his stats were terrible on HLTV, he was playing CSDM for like 3 hours. He was just trying his hardest. Like, the problem is, right, when those players try their absolute hardest, yeah, sometimes they don't do well in the game. Maybe something is wrong with their game. Maybe something's wrong with their mentality. But someone like Forrest, the problem is, if they are someone where you hear any rumour they have motivation issues, listen, I could imagine that you're not going to kill yourself at the end of your career when you're playing in Dignitas, in Tiny Cops, and you're playing with other players that you know you're not going to win, even if you do drop 30 kills. Like, I know it sounds to a fan like, but try your best. It's like, no, because it's human nature, isn't it? Sometimes sometimes you take it easy, sometimes you press hard. And if you're a player that's won majors and been in like the finals and stuff, like, there's got to be a reward there. There's got to be something you're going for. That's why I say it's not that everyone should just pick up Guardian. It's that you have to kind of like talk to him and get the sense that like he really is hungry, like he really wants to come back. Like, that's when I would gamble on a player like that.
Yeah, definitely, I agree. I mean, at least to see where he's headed. You know, does he want to be in? Like, you can easily tell. Like, nobody here is like a professional scam artist in the.
Yes.
You know, you can say, like, you can see it, like, after a few games, after a few practices, month or two, you can actually see if somebody actually wants to come back or he's just, you know, lying to get some sort of a deal so he can get some more money in a few months and then leave again. You know.
Right, there's actually a player that is a classic problem child player that both of you share because you're both in a team with him, and it is, of course, Nex from Germany. Now, here's the thing.
Fans... Nifty. Yeah. But...
No. Listen, it's not the episode for that. That's a different episode. Here's the thing. Although you are both Nifty fans, so exactly, it's definitely not this episode. So, no, here's the thing, right? The reason I ask about Nex is because he's a player where, like, unfortunately, it's so many years ago that he was, like, you know, the up-and-coming player that everyone was hyped about, and people just looked at his skills and they thought maybe he's going to be the next great player. That's like, at this point, you're a CS boomer, if you remember that, because that was like 2015 or something. So, right, and the reason I say he's the problem child player is every person I've talked to who's played in teams with this guy is like, oh no, the skills were there. Like, that's real. That's not hype. Like, but so what was it? I want each year to sort of give me some thoughts on this. What was Nex's deal? What was the problem, you think?
Yeah, I'm not going to be too long on this one, but like you said, the skill was there. The guy was like, even back in 2016, he was like super sharp. He was like killing everyone everywhere, but I think he was too stubborn. And I think he was just too set on his own ways. That kind of hurt him at the end. he was, you know, too stubborn for his own good, and I think he would rather like kind of go on his own way, like, and just he would pay any price for that, you know, even if he doesn't play in any of the good teams, you know. He would just kind of try to get his own thing, you know, going. He was super stubborn and not very easy to communicate. Obviously, even myself, like I wasn't easy back then as well. But I think, you know, that's the one of the things that kind of stopped him in his career.
Yeah, Nex is a very, very interesting person. Speaking about his skill, I think he was absolutely nuts. Called him the turret always in our team because he would just kill 3 people, 4 people, like if it's nothing. Like I remember he had one clip with this where the enemies rush A, but they're coming from hard door and A main, and just with one clip makes like 4K. It was like mind blowing, and it just looked so simple for him. But I think his biggest issue was that, like, obviously himself, that had problems with himself. What or why, I don't know. I don't also want to go too deep into it. He just stopped talking during games, which had like big impact on the team. Yeah. Also, he just went full quiet, and it was very hard for him to get him back into the zone. And what I think the bigger issue was, it wouldn't last for one game. It would last for a little bit longer period, which would obviously like have too negative impact on the team. But when we created Big, it was, for us, it was lucky because it was an atmosphere that he never experienced really, but was for us it was natural, and he was like surprised how it felt, like with this whole family thing, like being very good to each other, sharing things. That was like nothing that he had experienced before in his teams apparently, and it kind of gave him a little motivation, hope. I don't know if that reflects on his life or something. I really don't know, but I think personally he just was himself in his own way, and I think he was actually fucking insane. Like genuinely, really insane.
He was literally like super sharp. His crosshair placement, everything was like super on point. This is where I kind of wish I had any kind of psychology education background for myself, because we as coaches, we didn't go to school to be coaches, right?
Oh, of course not. Yeah.
We just ended up like, okay, we know the game, and we think we know the game, and let's just be the coaches. Like, it's not only about like telling people where to aim, you know, and where to run. It's the psychological part that we are all missing. You know, that was the biggest part of my, I don't know, development. And obviously, I knew that I always knew the game on a decent level, but I felt I was always lacking in that psychological part of understanding the coaching, you know, job. And this is something that all coaches need to go through, you know, to actually become successful, good, or whatever the goal is for them, you know. But like I said, nobody went to any school, any psychology backgrounds of education, anything was there. It's like you learn as you go, and you make mistake as you go, you know. I wish I was like a little bit more, you know, educated in back then, so I can maybe, you know, help him or me or whoever, you know.
I can actually comment very briefly on that, because he's actually a player where when I heard, like, listen, this might be a different version of his story. I know he actually claims now that this isn't the case. The rumour back in the day when he was in Mousebox was like, oh, maybe he has like problems on stage matches or gets like nervous or something. So when I heard this, I actually reached out to him at the time and I said to him, mate, if that's anything you're suffering from at all, like performance anxiety basically, or you're having some issue, like it's different in scrims and then in the real game, I said, what you need to do is look into sports psychology. Like, it's a whole field where even if you don't get a guy, like, get some books, you know, like find some techniques. And basically, he just, like, I won't say like exactly what he said, but he essentially just, the gist of it was, he just said like, no, I've never looked into that. Like, what would you recommend or whatever? So I don't know if he ever did look into it, but that's one of those unfortunate things, because I always say this, right? It sounds from the outside like it's some magic cure, like just get a sports psychologist, but it's like, it's not as simple as that, 'cause it's like, who needs it and how do they need it? Like, one thing a lot of these players, in my opinion, as to why a lot of them are in denial, like I've told this story many times, Device literally never believed he choked. He thought that was just some like meme that people made on Twitter, and his logic would be like, oh, I just had a bad game, you know, or I missed a shot there. And it's like, it's only when he became really good and worked through it all that he could admit like, oh yeah, of course I did. And now I look back and I know I had problems. But part of the issue, in my opinion, is because you look out at your pro peers, and some of them aren't having the same issue. Like, they never needed a sports psychology. They just, you know, this guy's just good. Like, it's like that Olafmeister quote where he's in Fnatic. They had some stupid quote like, oh, we don't have a sports psychologist because we just don't choke. It's like, listen, that sounds gangster if you just win all the games. Like, but some people do choke. So in that scenario, I think some people also are sort of like nervous or afraid to admit like they have a problem. So they try and just like, they live in denial. They just pretend, no, it was just a bad game, or, you know, oh, that opponent just got the better of me. Like, I feel like a lot of people who maybe could benefit, they just never thought about this area.
Yeah,
it didn't exist.
You need to find the right person to do it, right? You cannot just get anyone to actually just try to help you psychologically, right? It's like there needs to be someone who understands like the industry or the job that we are doing, right? There's a funny story. I think it was actually, we were discussing it a few days ago. It's the team, the Crazy, right? The Serbian next the team that went deep in the major, right?
They almost made top 8,
almost made top 8, right? They had this guy called a sports psychologist, right? And then one funny little thing, how he improved their mood, right? Because they ended up in practice, they always ended up in a bad mood, you know, bad vibe. It's like a few rounds in and people get tilted and the whole screen goes to shit. And like stuff like that. I mean, it's something that happens to a bunch of teams, right? So what this guy did, he was actually standing behind them and counting who reacts poorly and who reacts like in a good way after the round ends, no matter like what they are. So he was counting the fist bumps, all this shit.
Okay.
And then people would actually know that he's counting, right? And they were just, even though if they don't want to, they just fucking fist bump.
Even though they tell it,
he's counting, right? And then it actually became a fucking habit, and at the end, like, it helped them, like, not getting into this shit state. But that's one of the things, like, one of the techniques, right, of these, like, people that are trying to, for them, it helped them, right? Obviously, they had a good tournament overall, but that's one of the funny little stories, you know, those people actually can help you with, you know.
I could believe that could work, by the way, because there's that super famous thing people always say, and it is true. Like, if you ever just force your face to do a really big smile, you get like 5% of the feeling of being happy. Like, your brain starts to sort of think, like, you know, it like follows suit or something. So even though that's like a small example, obviously, it's kind of true in a way. Like, and also and also in that scenario when they're thinking about, oh, this guy's counting me, well, they're not thinking about being tilted right there, are they? It's taken out for a moment. So,
he's gonna do it, you know. He's counting. He doesn't want to be in the negative. He doesn't want to be in the red, right? He's just gonna do even though he hates the guy next to him because he sold him out. He's fist bumping him, right? And then it became a habit, and it's like, you know, that thing. It's like a little story. It was funny as hell, dude.
Good. There's so many techniques, man, and I think like that. Like, which team doesn't have a pop psychologist and actually has the money to invest in one guy and instead invest other stupid, I don't know, whatever shit. I think your team benefits so much, and it's not like 5%, it can be like actually 20-30% that this guy can change a team like during a longer period of time.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, those people, like, those are the problems, like the problems that CS players have now, right? Those are the problems that NBA, NFL teams, they got rid of those problems 40 years ago, you know, and we are experiencing that right now. So we need the proper help and proper like staff and everything, so we can just go through these problems as well and then move the whole industry to another level, you know.
Yes.
There's
why
a person like LeBron James invests like so much fucking money into people, like telling him how to eat, how to train, how to do whatever.
I think the stat is that he spends like $1 million a year just on like health and this sort of stuff.
The dude is floating on the fucking like boards, you know. He's fucking, when he's playing, he doesn't feel like he's running. When I look at him, he's like floating on the fucking, you know, thing.
Crazy.
It's crazy how good it is.
I think like you benefit so much.
Yeah, I agree.
Sure. I also like I'd switch it up and then let's talk about another team. So like, let's do it. Like, I don't know if you know this, but LEGIJA is a massive fan of NiKo, right? You know, like a lot of people. I mean, why wouldn't you be? He's a fucking sick player. Like, obviously there's a lot to enjoy, a lot to like. So let's talk a little bit about NiKo, right? Right. What about this LEGIJA? What interests you that Kassad could address here? What would be a piece of trivia or something you want to know about him, or something about his style or how you use him or something?
I have to think of that because I have to.
All right.
Something good.
Okay, I'll start you off then. Yeah, okay. So I've got a question for you, Kassad. Are you one of the people, I've never asked you this directly, but I suspect I know the answer, right? If you ever watch those videos that betting companies put out where they just ask like fucking super simple questions, like who's better, zero or simple, or like, who do you think is the best IGL? Then like 7 people go Glaive, because he won all the majors, right? You know, like, listen, it's meant to be simple content. Like, it's just shit you do on the side, you know. It's not supposed to be like fucking, it's not one of my interviews, like. And then in 1998, what did you do in September and why? Like, it's not on that level, obviously. Like, it's just supposed to be fun. But when they do this, right, I know one thing that shocked a lot of fans, even going back to like 2018, years when like Simple was getting #1 rating in the world, like #1, #2, and constantly, like, everyone's like, he's the GOAT, he's the best, he's the greatest ever. If you ever go and watch those interviews and they ask a player one of the following questions, it's not always who's the best, because a lot of people then just gave it to Simple because he wins the MVP all the time. What you ask them is this, like, who has the best skill or who has the best aim? Go watch those videos, because what you'll find is, look, a bunch of them that are just like random pros, yeah, a lot of them do go like, yeah, Simple, like, it's like an easy answer, right? A bunch of them also, even at a period when Simple has all the accolades, a lot of them say NiKo. Like, a lot of them do go like, actually, I think NiKo's kind of like a bit underrated for that, you know, maybe he has the best aim or he has the best skills I've ever seen. Like, and I know some fans, they were like, oh wow, is it that close? Like, I know for like people who kind of know him, like, he's give us some thoughts. What do you think? Could he be the most skilled player ever?
Yeah, definitely. He could be. He's up there, definitely, with Simple. And Zywo is obviously, I mean, yeah, Zywo he's not in the scene so long, right? He came 2019.
It's nuts, isn't it? Yeah.
It's just, he won the fucking, yeah. But the thing is, like, he's up there, definitely. He is not worse than Simple. You know, right now, Simple is obviously playing insane CS, right? And then the things that he does, when I sit down and watch Simple's demos, right, and I'm trying to study like what he does, it's so insane when you like actually, people are always like trying to like talk about his frags and shit, like he flick that, flick this, and the moves that he does are insane, right? He uses like he's watching short on does too. He drops down, drops the smoke, he drops down, goes middle, peeks middle, use the 15 seconds of the smoke, and he goes back to cat at the very exact point where the smoke fades. It's like he knows all the shit, right? And then people don't see that, right? People don't see that stuff, you know. When he's peeking middle, like how he like comes back to short and like he's using the proper timings. That's something that he understands. How he's not like crazy Simple or something. The same thing goes for NiKo. When you like look at his demos, everything is like calculated, but it doesn't look calculated. It looks fluent. It looks like, you know, he's like naturally doing that, but it all makes sense. Those like 3 or 4 players in the plan that actually can do that. One is obviously NiKo, second is Zywo, and the third one is Simple as well. Not that in that order, obviously.
Of course,
but you know what I mean. And NiKo definitely, if he didn't, I still believe this, if he didn't force himself or other people forced him into the IGL role or now the OP role, even though you can claim that the highest rated players of all teams are now the OPers and whatever, now NiKo is not your primary OPer. He is not. He is not. You know, he is good at other things. You know, he is like a player that can basically do anything in any round, with any gun, right? And all the things that he does are, all, like I said, connected. And then, you know, he's rarely making mistakes. You know, but everybody's making mistakes, but he's rarely making. Right now, what kind of slowed him down, obviously, is the fact that he was IGL. I think he was like frustrated a lot of times with that. And I think like the fact that other players maybe didn't do the things exactly like he wanted them to do. Like it kind of frustrated him a little bit, and I think it kind of built up, and then he was the IGL for FaZe for what, like fucking 2 years or some shit.
Something like that, yeah.
Yeah, and then, you know, changing all the players like all the time. You don't have a constant 50, doesn't have stability. Even like when you take a look at the Zywo's first year with Alex and everything, they had the stability in the team, right? Even maybe they had problems in whatever, but they had stability in terms of roster, right?
Yes.
You know, Simple and Navi more so as well, right? But FaZe, even in Mouseport, you remember Mouseport with NiKo, like that was like, everybody was like always on their ass, like they should kick this, they should remove that. It was always an instability. Even when there was a situation where they signed Oscar with already having the 5 people on the contract, and then somebody knew that somebody, you know, imagine that shit, and then people's trying to play for themselves, unconsciously, like subconsciously trying to play more for themselves to maybe keep a spot in the team rather than the other guy, and then you have to be the IGL of that team.
Yes.
You know, of those players that are maybe gonna bait you just a little bit more than that they should be baiting, right? And then they just end up, you know, to get like a little bit more numbers. You need to lead this team, and then you end up in another team where you actually had a Kerrigan as a IGL, but then Kerrigan had his own problems, but whichever they were. But, you know, then him taking over that IGL or being the IGL of for 2 years, getting all these like roster changes and all that bullshit that came up with that, and then the Boston major, and you remember all the drama.
Yes.
You know, it's like I think all of that kind of slowed him down, and even with those like obstacles, he still remained one of the top 3 players that still like play the game. You know,
for himself. But do you think what was the main reason that he actually like? You think he said, "Okay, I will in-game lead"? Do you think he was actually that confident in him?
I thought Kerrigan asked him to IGL in the major, right?
Yes, I know, but like obviously it was known that it's gonna be for a short.
It's temporarily,
period,
yeah,
right? Yeah,
yeah,
temporarily.
Sure.
Because
the thing is, like,
yeah,
I think like after that, I'm not sure. Like, I may be wrong on this one, but after the Kerrigan asked him to be the IGL, I think. And they lost that major in the quarterfinals or something like that.
Yes, to Charles. Yeah.
Yeah, and I think they lost confidence in Kerrigan, I guess, right?
Yes.
And maybe he lost confidence in Kerrigan for himself, and then he wanted to continue to be the IGL, which was the wrong move, obviously. The only thing that I am not happy with the decision making of FaZe, Yanko, and NiKo when they were there. They didn't get the IGL when they had the chance.
Why not?
Yeah. They made some wrong moves, like obviously with Neo and Adren, and like those was completely unnecessary moves, And then they brought in Brokey, and which ended up he's a solid player, but I think that all the wrong roster moves and all the pressure combined and everything else, I think that the wrong decision making in those roster changes, I think that all affected his overall kind of status or number of titles or whatever you want to call it, right? But he's still, considered one of probably the best players that ever played the game.
Yes, he's top 3, top 5 for sure.
You cannot say nobody in any argument can say that NiKo is worse than Zyrathenia or NiKo is worse than Simple. You can't say that, right? Can you?
No. To me, when you have players like that, it's like when like Messi and Ronaldo were at their prime. Like, someone's a fanboy if they're like, he's twice as good as the other one. It's like, shut the fuck up. Like, listen, it's 1A and 1B. Like, you pick the one you like, but the other one's clearly amazing. Like, but if I had a team, I'll take either of them. You can just give me whichever one you want, and I'll be happy with that. It's not a problem.
Yeah.
I'll even throw this out there. One thing I always say about NiKo, people don't get this. This is what people don't realise is, listen, I'll fuck with you if you fuck with me, and I'll banter you back for sure. Don't worry about that. I'll always be fair, though. Like, I'll never lie about a player and say something that's untrue. So one thing I've always said about NiKo is, just like Guardian when he had to play Na'Vi in FaZe Clan, I always give those players a little bit of extra leeway that I don't give, by the way, to Simple in Na'Vi or Device in a fucking Danish team, which is they're not even playing in their home region. They're speaking in a second language with a bunch of players from around the world, totally different cultures, different levels of experience, never played together before they're in these teams, and they're still the best players in the world. Like, holy fuck, dude, that's insane. That's unbelievable.
That's crazy. Like, you said about the culture is a big thing, the mentality, the culture, like, different countries is insane, You cannot, like, trying to match fucking Norwegians or Danish people with Brazilians, Like, try mixing that, and see what you get. But like they played so I think, back in FaZe it was a wild story, but right now I think him getting the op is a mistake. Straight up mistake. I think they should get somebody like Cirque.
Sure.
Just get him there, and get the real lineup, get the real open, get the real NiKo of it, right? Also, there is a question of getting somebody to IGL instead of Nexa, not just replacing Nexa, just getting the IGL and keep Nexa as a player.
As an option,
yeah. There's also like that combination, but Nexa proved himself on LAN that he can be the IGL like in these like big tournaments, right? Remember the last year, like they played the finals of Katowice with a much worse lineup in a way,
Yes.
But right now, I still don't know why did he. I didn't get to talk. That's a funny thing. I didn't get to talk to NiKo in the past month because I was like boot camping. They were playing. They were like
right.
So I couldn't actually discuss with him about any of this. So I need to like find time to. He's actually living 5 floors above me, and I still don't have the time to see him. So
you probably hear him half the time, you know, while he's playing the game. You hear like a rumble. That's when he looks around.
Flying off the window.
Yeah.
What
do you say again?
He has to believe in it. Like, I don't think he would make this choice after like saying okay or knowing that he made the wrong decision, like by IGLing, which I think he regrets a little bit, obviously. I don't think he would make this decision again or such a big change again if he really wouldn't believe in it. Yeah.
Here's the problem. Again, I've suddenly become like fucking NiKo defender. This is the problem. When you're actually as good as NiKo is, like Kassad said, when you're a player who in theory can do anything. Like, listen, the thing with NiKo is it reminds me when Shox was at his prime and he used to just fuck around in AWP half the time as well. It's like, they can do it as a hybrid. If they're a hybrid, they'll be fucking sick. Like, they'll pick exactly the right time, the right spot to do it. Like, everyone knows on Cash CT side, NiKo used to have a banging AWP. That was probably one of his best maps to AWP on. It's just, here's my problem. Because they can do it, doesn't mean you should. That's the issue. And the problem is, sometimes, believe it or not, for a player like that, I know everyone will see it as, oh, he's just being egotistical. So, like, Kenny get out. No, he's actually trying in his own fucked up way to be a good teammate. He thinks to be a good teammate. It's like, look, at the moment, our AWP is really struggling. He can't do it. Listen, no one else in the team, like, in theory, Nexa could maybe do it, but he's the IGL. It's like, listen, I'll do it. Look, you know, for now, I'll do it. I'll take over and let's agree. We'll figure someone out in a few months or someone. But for now, I'll do it while we can so we can keep the team rolling. I don't agree with it. Like, yeah, listen, I think you're the best rifler in the world if you want to be mate. But I can get what he's trying to go for.
Yeah, I think he's like, he's definitely, there is nothing egoistical about that, but he's never like going to say, oh, okay, listen, guys, this Kenny guy is shit, like, we need to, you know, just, I will take the op. He legitimately thinks like, okay, if you're struggling, maybe I should take the op, you know. He's trying to do the best for the team, you know, and then in the process, he might have fucked himself, kind of, you know, by taking the IGL or something, and then they can make a better decision and do something different, you know.
But in the end, I think, I don't know, I guess it was Malik's decision in the end, and
that shouldn't be like
if I'm the coach, I wouldn't allow it. Like, I straight up wouldn't allow NiKo to play op. Like, if my organization tells me I cannot buy another op, then I'm sorry, you're doing something wrong. But Carlos is not a stupid guy, and he invested so much money into NiKo.
For sure,
so he made a good deal with Perks during the same time. But come on. You're going here for the best team in the world, else you wouldn't have bought this guy.
Yes.
So why would you downgrade this team by putting the best player, or best rifler in the world, let's say?
I know they have, like, I don't think it was a single man decision kind of thing. Probably I don't think it was Malik. It was like, listen, tomorrow, Monday morning, you are the opera. Like, it's
let's say JKS comes to you in your old time team and says, I'm going to be opping. You will say, no fucking way, you will not do it. You as a coach, you will not allow it.
I mean, you have to still listen to the arguments, obviously. I mean, I like people saying like what they think, but I wouldn't agree, and most likely it wouldn't happen because I would probably say my own piece and like my own like opinion, and then it would, you know, be helpful for them to understand that the opping NiKo or opping JKS is not the solution.
Yeah,
there is better solutions, obviously. I mean, it's so clear, it's obvious, right? It's not like something that's crazy, you know.
But yet again, you never know what is going inside the team.
Yes,
I also said it on Twitter. Like, people always judge and flame, but you never really know. It could be in the end. It could be actually G2 saying, "No, we don't have money to buy another player. We have to deal with what we have and make it."
Here's an angle on it. Maybe they say, we can buy a player, but you've got to wait 3 months to get, you know, he's out of a contract or something. So yeah, there's an angle where it makes sense.
It's unlikely, but it might.
But I don't think it's the case though, because I mean, it could be, but I don't think.
Yes.
I don't think so. But in my mind, if you're G2, right, you don't really need Amanek. Maybe you get the Opper. Maybe you get maybe you can keep Amanek if you want, but maybe you get an Opper, get rid of Jax, right? And then you have a NiKo Hunter combination as a first second guy, you know, entry behind. Like, I know Hunter loves it. You know, I know he loves to be the first second in. I know NiKo loves as well to be first second in, right? And that combination can actually work 100%. And just get a Opper who is a Cirque level, you know. At the very least, that's the first guy that comes to my mind, because, like, you know, there's many aspects. Because, like, let's say if you're Cirque, right, you maybe want to get back home. It's getting from EG to G2 is an upgrade, definitely. Get to play from home. You get to play with NiKo, Hunter, all these teams, like all these players that from Balkans. We're all the same mentality, same. You know, it makes sense completely. So I don't know. Maybe that's going to happen in the future. I would want that to happen in the future, but. You know, you never know. Right now, even though NiKo is like obviously like playing all right, they qualified for the playoffs in the Pro League. I don't think they're playing some crazy CS, but you know, I think they would do better with an op and having him as a rifle.
Like, here's a little test people can try if they think that NiKo is like, yeah, is he that skilled though? Right? Because people might have heard a story, right, that he doesn't, like, here's the example. I'll give you the opposite contrast. Everyone knows Simple. One of the other things that makes Simple the god of CS is when he does all that shit, go and have a look what Simple's sensitivity is. Like, it's ridiculous. It's like he's playing on a postage stamp of a mouse pad or something. Like it's so unreasonable, like, when you consider how, like, you know, like, have you seen when he does those flick ops, so it just, like, goes instantly onto the person with no pixels missed? Like, I don't blame people who think he cheats. Like, mate, he's better than cheaters. That's how good he is. But here's the thing. You might naively think, because classically in CS, the way you make your aim more consistent is you put the CS low, the sensitivity low, right? People don't know. NiKo went through that. He went the opposite extreme. NiKo has the one where he has the enormous mousepad. I'm telling you right now, fans, go put your fucking DPI to what his is, put your sensitivity to what his is, put all the settings the same, and try playing a matchmaking. After the matchmaking, you'll instantly change back to your old settings. You'll never fucking try that again, because he's playing on what I used to call in Quake the fucking rowing machine, where, like, to turn in corners, it's like, fuck, you're getting a workout in your arm, mate. Like, you're not just shifting your wrists. It's like the whole arm's across the mousepad. And so here's the thing, right? Think when you watch NiKo playing the game, when does he ever have to do a crazy 180? Which, by the way, he wouldn't be able to do. Like, he just wouldn't be able to do it at the time. He never has to. Because here's what's so insane about this guy. He's always looking at the right position. He just always has the crosshair on the right angle. He doesn't have to worry about doing a snap 180 on a guy behind him. If the guy's there, then he fucked up. He didn't study correctly. He didn't know correctly. This guy makes so few mistakes. I'm telling you, to be that good and that fast with your aim, with your eye, when you're that slow, you have to have mad talent to do that. That's the other extreme.
Yeah. The thing is, like, with NiKo and Simple, Zyvu, I don't think they ever lose confidence at all. I don't think even like, let's say NiKo, for example, he received a lot of, like, you know, pressure from outside, from community, for like whatever, right? He in the game, he never loses confidence in any battle he takes. You can never see him second guess the battle that he takes, or like fight, whatever, like the decision that it's never second guessed. Sometimes he can make a wrong decision, whatever, but it's never like, it's never hesitating. Like, that's the difference between, like, average player and a god tier player, right? And then I guess that it's the same. I asked Alex, like, what makes Zyvu so, like, good, right? And what he told me is that Zyvu doesn't feel pressure. He's literally playing a video game.
You cannot have pressure dropping every game 35 frags.
He doesn't. That's what he told me. Like, I actually openly asked him, like, hey, Zyvu, what's the deal? Like, is he an alien or what is it? Like, and then he said, like, he doesn't feel any pressure. Everything that he does is just, like, you know, playing the game, enjoying it, just, like, you know, doing his thing.
Yeah, that's one of those ones where, like, again, players in interviews, it sounds cool if you say that. Like, they all want to believe. They can say, like, no, you know, I'm not worried. I wasn't scared of the water. Like, that's just people being, that's bravado. They're putting up a good front. Like, most players, like, there was a great player in, like, basically, there was an old school duel player. It was actually an Unreal tournament who had a great quote like this. His quote was like, you know, like, of course people feel like pressure in the game, but that's the whole thing. If you're a god in the game, like, pressure's for humans. Gods don't feel pressure. Like, I'm a god in the game. Like, why would I feel pressure? Like, if I'm a god in that scenario, it's like I just have to get out my own way. I'm going to win the game. Like, the other guys, like, I don't know if I'm as good as this guy, or I'm having a bad game at the moment. Like, it's like I always say, we've been so spoiled by Simple and Zyvu that normally when they have what for them's an okay game and we're like, oh, they didn't step up, it's like, dude, that's like a fucking, like, top frag for someone else. Like, some other players who wake up and go, that's the best day of my month. Yeah, exactly. That'd be awesome if I could have that game like that. So as a result, though, this is why I know people never understand. They think Simple's being fake humble because of his background, right, where people said he was toxic. You know, when he'll do these interviews now, and he never in the interviews ever flames his teammates. He never says, look, I was carrying, I was dropping 50, but what the fuck was Flamey doing? You know, like, where was he? He never ever says that now. Now he always says, like, exactly what the media would want to hear. He'll say, like, look, there was still a round or two, I could have done something differently, I need to study more. He isn't just saying that to be nice, though. He also knows, by the way, that when you're as good as him, maybe you could have done one more amazing round as well and won the game. Like, that's the mentality you got to have, I think, if you want to be, like, the god in the game.
Oh, they're just a few of these players are just special, you know. like in any other sport, you have these like few special players that can just like like you said, like they spoil us with their constant numbers and plays and everything, you know.
Yes. That's why listen, I know people do it for hype, but that's why what triggered me was during this Katowice, where like, fucking, oh, your Kinder's doing awesome from Virtus Pro, next simple. Oh, fucking, oh, Shiro, next simple. Oh, fucking Dexter. It's like, motherfucker, if there's one more simple ever, you like, we live in the most bizarre universe ever. Like, even Zero's like simple. They're amazing in different ways. Like, you don't get others. That's like saying the next good player, next Michael Jordan. It's like, you don't get the next Michael Jordan. You don't get them. They're once in a lifetime, aren't they?
Yeah. Just one Michael Jordan, one Kobe Bryant, one LeBron James. It's like they're special in their own ways, but they're special nonetheless, you know. That's what makes them the best players like in the planet. Definitely, I agree.
And also, the other angle I always say as well, like I said this to Janko in my interview with him, is like, I think the reason why we've finally broken all the fans from having to believe that if you're the best player, you win the major, is because Astralis just won all the majors. So, unless you were in Astralis, you can't win a major. So, I don't know if you know this, but Simple isn't going to get invited to Astralis. He's not Danish. So, in that scenario, Simple, Zero, all these great players, like, they're shit out of luck, aren't they, until Astralis stops winning? Like, then they can have their chance. You know, it's not their fault.
Well, yeah. I mean, Navi right now, I mean, Simple is in the best form of his life right now, and they are struggling.
It's getting better and better.
I don't know what can like help Navi. I mean, they have this.
Kassad takes over. What is he changing?
I don't know. There is a pool of these talented players. Like we said, okay, it's online, but more than a few of these players will make their way into LAN events, right?
Yes.
Definitely. Even, I mean, players like James, even like, you know, he had some good runs in LAN.
He's been decent at times,
like,
yeah.
It's not like you cannot say he's bad on LAN because he played good LANs. Buster, Kickert, everybody played great LANs as well. Remember the Berlin major, like, you know, we lost them in the semifinals, but it's just so hard to kill them, you know, it's like super sharp. And it's not like they were sharp for one day, magically one day. They have like that aim in their hands, like it's there. But I don't know, there's such a big pool of talent in CIS right now, it's actually ridiculous. So somebody needs to take over that GM spot in Navi and just, you know, try to maybe reassemble a little bit something to actually get them to where they need to be, where the Simple needs to be. You know, he needs to be the one with 4 or 6 major titles.
Yes,
it's a shame. It's a shame. Blade and?
You have Blade in charge for that. He's the guy who's making the decisions over the rosters. And
but does he have full control of it? Who has the full control? You know, we don't know that.
I know, yes. From what I know, but that's obviously,
you know, but that's why the GM role is super important, I feel like.
Yes. We can touch on that a little bit, actually, Kassad, because if people don't know, one of the reasons I specifically asked at the beginning, like how much was Henry, how much was Kassad, is Kassad also, like a lot of people, especially when we all saw all those coaches are going to get banned and maybe Valve comes in and fucking destroys the coaching role. A lot of the people who are the best coaches, because they're people who've worked with different players, know how to bring out the best in players, same with my boy Zeus, a bunch of people, they were all saying to me, look, if it ends up that like coaching can't happen, or if there is like a really good GM job available, like hit me up, like put me in the fucking list, like, you know, I'll do that job. Like that's a new challenge, because listen, Henry, you can judge how he did so far, like maybe people don't like the job, but the people who are doing that role who aren't Henry G, most of you on these shows, you don't know who they are. They're people in organizations that none of us know. Some of them don't even have background in CS. They might be from a different game, or if they're from CS, maybe they were like a low-level player or coach many years ago. Like, the problem is that role's now become, especially with how expensive players are, and you have to find the right one, you have to have an eye for talent. That's its own skill set. That's a really hard job.
Yeah, I would take that job any day. You know, I think like after this coaching thing, I would definitely take up an offer for a GM. You know, I think I would be successful in it, to be honest. And it requires a lot of experience, like before you actually get into that spot, to actually understand like what kind of team is a winning team, you know, and what kind of players you need to, like you said, you have an eye for the players as well. You need to know the community. You need to know like who is coming up, like what kind of players you need to put like in a mix, and it all comes with like years of experience, you know. And I think it's a very important role in the future of like CS orgs and CS in general. And people there in that spot need to be very, like you said, skilled in they need to have a set of skills, and they need to have a lot of experience to actually make a successful CSGO team, you know.
Because, by the way, I've always said this, and I was half joking, I'm half serious when I say it. I would never actually coach in Counter-Strike, because it's not really my style. Like, the way I like to watch the game, I'm not trying to, like, get all the tactics down and figure out those, the anti-strats and stuff. Like, that's not my game. I follow different things. But coaching, in terms of, like, if you go into the GM side, now it's interesting, because that's about, like, player evaluation. Do you know what qualities fundamentally make up a young player that's good, or the one that's just going to be, you know, a flash in the pan? Who is the great player, like I said before, who everyone else has said he's rubbish, but you're like, that was my chance to get him out the recycle bin. But here's the thing, right? When you get all those players in those scenarios, like, that would be a really fun challenge to take, because, like, that's the one where you can have a massive imprint on the team. Look, you're not coaching it day to day, but guess what? The coach can only work with the tools he has. Now, obviously, in my case, I'd do some fucked up shit, like, it'd be like, and Thorin's team in 2100, it's robo-existence. Oh my God, he's a fucking android. He's back from the dead. He's going to do all the strats. Like, I'd do some ridiculous shit like that, don't worry, you know. It's device with the anti-choke mechanism that will be installed, and now he'll be the best. Obviously, I'd go ridiculous, and Kenny S would just be on the team at all times, of course, my boy Kenny. Yeah, just because he'd be sad otherwise.
You can, like, take, like, two examples. For example, the bad example of, like, making bad roster moves is obviously FaZe, right? They didn't have the proper structure, proper, like, well, GM or any kind of decision-making process in that, and they end up, you know, making all these bad moves. But then they have Astralis, who made all the right moves, even back when it was Glaive in the mix. You remember they brought in Glaive, they got rid of...
That was a gamble, yeah.
You know, and then somebody recognized that Glaive can be a good fit, right? Somebody said, okay, maybe we get this guy. It wasn't like he threw a dice and just like, okay, Glaive, come in, right? And then there is this matter of Magus coming in. Somebody recognized that maybe Dupree needs to go back to his old roles, and then Magus would be a perfect fit for that role that he's playing still these days. And then look what happened. You know, one of the best roster moves in CS ever, right?
Yes,
and
for both players.
Yeah, obviously Fallen back in the day when he brought in Coldzera and Taco, was it? I can't remember.
FNX,
yeah.
Tapo, yeah.
Yeah, and then he got rid of ZQKS and what was the other guy?
Steel, Bolt.
Steel, and everybody was like, yeah, you killed Steel, you know, and he brought in Coldzera. It's like a best move, you know. They won a couple of majors. They were the best team. It's like there is examples of, like, actually somebody doing the right job and somebody doing the bad job. So it can, you can say that GM is, I think it should be a future of orgs. It should be a very important. I mean, you can see it in other sports, in NBA, in, like, you know, the NBA especially. People, like, I guess people follow that the most, but you can see how important is the GM role to those teams.
Yes, especially because, as well, like, another angle that maybe it hasn't existed as much until recently, while people are bringing in the big names to do it, is in the past, the reason you join a team is the players convince you, like, oh, if you play with us, bro, we'll do this. Like, that'll be the GM's job one day, in the same way as it is in sports. It's like, if I bring you in, like, look, I believe in your talent. Like, I'm going to put people around you in this way. If I don't have a guy here that can play, I'll get someone like that. Like, that's what's going to make the big blockbuster trades. I'll guarantee you, when they got fucking NiKo into G2, I know Ocelot was, like, directly involved with that, and he was, like, having, like, conversations with, because, for example, I even told Ocelot privately, like, look, your whole brand is supposed to be, like, we're all memeing and we're all making fun of ourselves. Like, listen, that ain't NiKo's strength. Like, NiKo isn't the guy who's like, you know, let's make fun of it. But he said, I'll get him on board with that. Like, I'll get him to buy in. I'll tell him, like, this is the vision of the team. We're gonna change your image. People won't think you're so serious. Like, it's about the vision as well as, you know, what you can do in the game.
It's also the fact that he had a direct, like, link to NiKo through Hunter and Nexa, right? Especially Hunter.
Yes.
He used, I mean, obviously the moves that he made, obviously he got Hunter and Nexa from Crazy for some ridiculous money or something, right? It was the right move. Then he got rid of Lucky and Shocks, was it, at the time? And then he sold them to Vitality and benched Lucky, and, you know, made some money there. He brought these two great players, you know, and both, like, Hunter made top 20, and then he was, like, amazing, and Nexa as well. And after that, he had a direct connection to NiKo, something that he can, like, use to bring him in. I don't think NiKo would ever go to G2 if there wasn't a Hunter in there.
No.
There's no way.
I'll tell you a little detail. Here's a detail people don't realize. The other thing about the GM job is it's a marathon. It's not a race. It's not a sprint, right? Yeah. So as a result, right, each move in isolation might not look like the perfect move at the time. You'd be, why are you doing that? What you got to ask yourself is, where can this go? So I'll give you an example. Even though it wasn't directly, it wasn't one-to-one, it didn't go from this step to this step. Essentially, within the span of something like 1 year, Carlos managed to indirectly trade Shocks, sell him to a team who needed him and paid a big buyout, and then later use some of that money and get himself NiKo. That's a pretty nice upgrade right there. Like, you know what? Like, Shocks is a good player, but that's a fucking amazing. Like, that's a very good GM job. Yeah, you did a good job of that one.
He did a good job the whole last year.
Yes.
No, he brought like NiKo, he brought Hunter, he brought Nexa, right? And then he got rid of Shocks, who was in a bit of a decline.
Yep.
You can say that, and he sold him for a good amount of money.
Yep.
So he made a sick deal, you know?
Yes. By the way, one thing we should talk about before the end of this episode, because it's obviously tangentially related to exactly this topic, Kassad. I've revealed it publicly because I saw NiKo already said it in an interview. Like, he didn't mind saying it, right? There's a world where NiKo wouldn't have been in G2 and Kassad wouldn't have been in Cloud9. And instead, obviously, we don't know what org they would be on because no org actually was willing to do it. But there would have been a team. I called it the Balkan Super Team. It was basically most of G2, like the Hunter, Nexa, etc., NiKo. And the idea was it was going to be that. And then maybe, you know, there'd be an AWP, obviously. So maybe it would have been Zerg, or it could have been, there's a bunch of pillars. It could have been Point. Who the fuck knows who was available? It depends on the contracts, obviously, right? This never happened. And I was pushing hard for this because I have to say, a lot of teams out there, like I know Cloud9 did end up building a team piece by piece. A lot of teams who normally don't want to do it because they feel like it's too risky, like there's no established core with it and stuff. But I was telling these teams, look, it's very rare in CS there's anything like a sure thing on paper, but like this has got to be as close as you can get. Like, look at these players, like where are the bad players in this lineup? Like, this is an insane lineup. So I said, listen, if you have the money, this is one of those ones where if you don't do it, in 2 years, you'll think back like, fuck, wait, man, I could have that team. So give us some thoughts on this, Kassad, because I thought to myself, like, it wasn't, by the way, it wasn't even unreasonable. It was like a lot less than what like Cloud9 paid, for example, for their team. So like, I was amazed. It was one of the moments really that actually opened my eyes that some of these Flashpoint orgs weren't going to spend big. Because it's one thing if they say, oh, I don't want to sign, like if I offered them Guardian, like I said before, they can just give an excuse. But you know, is he that good still or whatever? Like, in this scenario, if you've got the money, I know you've got millions, and you won't buy that team, you won't buy any team for that money. Like, Astralis isn't coming for that money, mate. So give us some thoughts on this project, Kassad. Like, how deep were you in it? How committed were you to the idea? Do you think people were going to bite on it?
Yeah, at the time, yeah. I mean, after 100 Thieves, I went back to Serbia, obviously, and then the whole time I was like kind of trying to get this team together. And I did it, you know, I had the people ready, right? It was, at the time, it was NiKo, Hunter, Nexa. It was supposed to be called Zera there and an Opera. We had initially wanted Fallen. He showed some interest, but then he just didn't after that. But we had like plan B, C, D, whatever. It was supposed to be either Cirque or Voxic or Poison, depending like, you know, on the contracts already. But 4 players should be there. I obviously went to a few orgs and then offered this type of deal, but nobody was ready to pay the money. You know, I still think that was a mistake because that team would be a major winning team, 100%. I can claim it 100%. That team would be like you said, like a super team from Balkan, but it didn't happen. You know, and I had everybody, you know, ready to go. Everybody was like, yeah, if you find somebody that can pay the money and then can buy us out from the orgs or anything, we're just going to do it. You know, we're going to speak to our owners. We're going to, about our contracts, buyouts and everything. But if there is a team that is ready to pay this money, we're just going to go and we're just going to do it, you know. And I'm sure that in some world, if you offer these orgs, like, for example, G2, you offer money for Nexa and Hunter, at some point he would have to sell them.
Yes, if the deal's right, yeah, of course.
It's straight up business. Like it's not like, you know, he bought them for like X amount of money. He's gonna sell them for like, you know, Y amount of money. So the same goes for NiKo. You know, I don't think FaZe would make any waves as they didn't as well when he was transferred to G2. You know, the same would go for Cirque and EG. I think if he went to EG, and he would probably say yes because I know he loves all these players. And he would go for it. I think that lineup was ready to go, but nobody was willing to put their money where their mouth were, you know.
For sure. Crazy. And by the way, if you think about it, the other reason I think that lineup would have been super fun is that would finally be a chance for what I said before. Like NiKo could play in a team that could challenge for the major. It's from his region. That's actually fair. Finally, it'd be like a fair standard. Let's see. Then let's have the NiKo versus Simple versus Ziwu battle. That's where I like to see that battle.
Everybody likes each other. Everybody has the same mentality, the same culture, the same fucking region. You know, everybody is there, and everybody is playing at their almost peak of their career. You know, everybody's like playing on the highest level they played in their lives, and everybody was ready to. There wouldn't be any. We were discussing this a lot. I don't think there would be any issues in the team because everybody, you know, have really great relationships between each other. You know, and then well, it didn't happen yet. So,
ooh, yeah. See that LEGIJA teased us there. He didn't. It's like when Michael Jordan retired. He famously said, like, they said, like, are you definitely retired? He was like 99.9%. They were like, but why won't you give us the 0.1%, Michael? He was like, because that's my choice.
Nice.
Like, there you go.
It was an interesting project. I think interesting idea. I think it would have been a great team already. Right by this time, would already been like a team that is probably top 3.
I mean, honestly speaking, it was pretty much everyone's prime time. Like, even yours. Like, you...
Oh, and he would be the coach, of course. Yeah, exactly.
Yes. He's dead again, but...
Oh, he did, you're right.
Yes.
It's basically the end of the show, though. Like, to be fair, this could be it. This video was kindly supported by Bobby, Lager15, Pronogo, Zachary Carter, Andrew, Alexander Rao, Andreas Kroknes, Animosity, Dean Tanglis, ErikHillestad, Hades, Jdubs, Jensen Goh, Tobias Bernasconi, Zyrathenia, Zoomba, and as always, a special thanks goes out to Jerky's Minion. Do you want to suggest a topic or a guest for my shows? Do you want to ask a question for my monthly video AMA? Want teasers for who's coming up on my content? Or do you even want to take part in one of those exclusive discussions with me about esports? If so, put your money where your mouth is and join the Illuminati today via the Patreon link in the description box below.